KHTKAMClassic.org. Sponsored by Sheldon Inn and Adkins Family Vineyards.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your home for the Oakland A's every weekend.
And it's swung on line to left center, base hit, and the A's have won it on a walk-off line drive, base hit to left center.
Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Christopher Lott with your Sactown Sports headlines. Number one pick in San Antonio Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama has announced that he will not play for France in this year's FIBA World Cup and will prepare for his rookie season with the Spurs in next year's Paris Olympics. Wembanyama does plan on playing for the Spurs in the Summer League. The Spurs are also one of the teams in the California Classic, which tips off on July 3rd here in Sacramento. NBA free agency starts this Friday, but one of the names who won't be on the free agent list will be Naz Reid. Reid signed a 3-year, $42 million extension with the Minnesota Timberwolves this weekend. Those are your headlines. Let's start with today's Chris and Company with Whitey and Watkins.
I know a lot of Kings fans are unhappy today because we found out yesterday that Naz Reid is not going to be on the free agent market. He's going to remain a Minnesota Timberwolf, which is interesting because he's still behind two other centers, at least for now. Maybe they gave him a wink on that. Well, my point is, while so many Kings fans are upset, I texted Jerry Reynolds yesterday, angry face emoji on the whole thing. Chris Watkins is like, yes, finally we can stop talking about Naz Reid.
I'm sorry. I know I don't want to be the wet blanket on everybody, and it has nothing to do with Naz Reid, the player, I promise. I actually kind of like Naz Reid, and that's about as far as I'm willing to go.
What did he ever do to you?
Naz Reid. Nothing. He had a couple good performances against Sacramento, which is honestly where I think that all of this fanfare comes from. But
Kings killer, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, there's a good handful of Kings killers. So if people are just out there looking for a Kings killer, there's plenty of other options. But yeah, frankly, I'm just glad that we can stop seeing Naz Reid's name come across our YouTube chat, the text line, our callers, every single person. It feels like.
What was it about it that bugged you? You just felt like it was just too much of the same, too much. I think you explained this with J. Ross. When everyone feels the same way, you feel like, well, everybody can't be right.
That's definitely the start of it. When everybody seems to agree on something, it just kind of naturally makes me look at the other end of things.
Skeptical.
and just kind of, really look at what makes everybody like him so much. And I do think a lot of it, sure, the skill set is there. He's a bigger guy, or not even really a bigger guy. He's only listed at 6'9", but a big, tough physical presence.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who can score, who can rebound, brings
Shoots
a little bit of an edge.
Stretch big.
Sure,
good
absolutely.
fit for the Kings.
All of those are perfectly fine. And I think he's done it in a similar role that what you would want him to have here in Sacramento. But I just think that there's, Naz Reid is a fine player, but with the amount of times we were hearing Naz Reid's name brought up, I was also concerned that maybe people were just expecting a little bit too much out of Naz Reid and not really for the guy that Naz Reid actually is.
Putting the Kings aside for a moment, do you think that maybe the Timberwolves gave him some sort of assurances that, yeah, you're our third center, but you won't be for long, wink, wink?
Yeah, I wonder. I definitely wonder, because why would Naz Reid not explore his options at the very least? I mean, Something tells me us here in Sacramento aren't the only people who are interested in bringing Naz Reid over it, or at least testing the water
and
to
I know
see
he's
what he
not,
would like.
I mean, he's a 4-5. He's a big. Right. Yeah, so he's not just a center.
No, but I mean, he fits. I mean, he could play. He's not going to play anything else besides forward or set. Like, he's going to be one of your bigger people out there. I think it's a weird. I don't know. It's just a really weird situation, because why would he agree to be behind not only just two big guys in general, but also two very high profile names? I mean, Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, you would assume, are probably going to be getting 30 plus minutes a night pretty easily. So that just kind of leaves a certain amount of minutes for Naz Reid. And I would think that he could maybe get a guaranteed bigger role somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. He did get 3 years, $42 million with an option for the 25-26 season. So he has a chance to get another new deal in 2 years.
Is that a player option? Does it
yes,
say?
Sir.
A player option. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So that would be for about 13, 14 million, I would assume, somewhere near there. I would assume he probably declines that. Again, I think it's also kind of surprising.
How the next 2 years go, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he could have probably gotten that contract from somewhere else. So I wonder if he just likes it there in Minnesota. But as you point out, I mean, the fit isn't perfect because they have two guys there that are gonna eat up quite a bit of minutes.
Yeah, maybe the play for him, and I'm not that familiar with his contract. He's only 23. So maybe he's thinking, all right, next 2 years go well. Then in 2 years, I could be in position to make some big money.
Sure.
Maybe that's his play.
Right. And it definitely could be. He was he undrafted? I think he might have been undrafted coming out of college. So he's somebody who hasn't made a lot of money in his NBA career. I'm looking now. He never
was undrafted.
Never made over $2 million in his career. So there is a possibility that he just saw this as, hey, let me guarantee something. I know what my fit will be here. And, he's probably not, he's probably very keen to what's going around the rumor mill as well. I'm sure he understands that, kind of like what you're pointing out. There's a possibility that one of these centers is possibly gone pretty soon, and he might have a role carved out for him there in Minnesota sooner rather than later. I could definitely see it. He's a really talented guy, and it's just that
I didn't know he was only 23.
Yeah.
For being honest here, I didn't know he was. But an undrafted guy who's 23.
Yeah,
like, all right, 3 years, $42 million. I have an opt out. Yeah, that's a nice deal for him.
It is. No, it really is.
We could have done better, Naz.
I think he could have done better, and that's the thing that's most surprising. It's just he didn't even test the market. I think that offer would have been there for him. It would have sat there for him for as long as he would have had it. So I'm just surprised that he took it without fielding other offers.
So you, Chris Watkins, and it's Watkins and Whitey here, and Chris and company. You're happy that the Naz Reid talk now is irrelevant. How about Draymond? It looks like, and there's still pizza left in this box. Looks like indications are Draymond's going back to the Warriors. They're still going to haggle perhaps over how much money. Looks like it's going to be a 3-year deal. So are you unhappy that it looks like Draymond's not coming here?
Slightly.
Still possible, I know.
Yeah, it's still possible. It's more for me, the money thing with Draymond makes me very much okay with the fact that the Kings aren't going to pursue him. I just don't think that he's a guy who's going to be worth more than $20 million per year in a contract. And
because you've been screaming from the rooftops.
I have for months now. I've been screaming.
Draymond's a good fit.
He's a good fit. He's a good fit. He is a good basketball fit here. He is clearly a basketball specifically. But I am disappointed just in the sense of I'm going to keep saying it, but I just think he does a lot of the things on the basketball floor that the Kings could really use. And I know he's depreciating in terms of his athleticism and in terms of being an asset, but I just think that there's things that he brings, intangibles that he brings that just a lot of people in the NBA don't have, especially somebody who can still play minutes out there. It's unfortunate. I just really think he really could have helped Sacramento in a winning situation, but for the price tag that's out there, it wouldn't make sense, and it would honestly end up hurting the Kings more than helping.
We talked to Jerry Reynolds about that potential fit on Friday, and I know Emil has a nice write-up at SactownSports.com about what Jerry said about Draymond Green's fit. Given that Draymond is still presumably negotiating with the Warriors about the dollar amount, it behooves him to continue to talk to the Kings. And maybe even, this is kind of a mess up there, but Portland, a lot of people think he'd be a good fit there, but it depends what they decide to do with Dame and that whole mess. I'm as tired of the Dame talk as you are the Naz Reid talk. Can we just decide? Yeah. Because it's all, and Jay Morris brought it up last week, and I'm right there with him. This whole talk about poor Damian Lillard, and he deserves a win and blah. What are they going to do? Like, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I'm getting there too, where it's like either do it or don't, and whatever you do, just hurry up and do it. Absolutely.
He signed a huge deal to stay there.
Yep.
Good for him. So either move on or stay. Figure it out.
Absolutely. Like, they just need to get it done, and I'm surprised it wasn't done before the draft. I think it's now. I mean, I just don't know what they're really doing with it. Doesn't seem like they know what they're doing either with the Dame situation, but it should just be resolved by now. I think that they just need to make the decision and live with it, whatever it is that it is. I'm tired of the Instagram live, Will Smith Miami song going on in the background. Like I'm good with all the cryptic stuff. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's just like a little bit like, okay, like this is like a reality TV show.
For me, it's crossed the line where to me it's not funny anymore. No, it's just boring.
No, exactly. If you want to trade Damian Lillard, it's okay. Like we all acknowledge, like you said, we've all been saying for years now, Damian Lillard deserves to be on a winner. We that part has been established. It's okay. You can go to your front office, demand a trade. We all understand. We won't be mad. You stayed a long time in Portland. You probably quote unquote, overstayed your welcome, if you will, in Portland. Like, I think it's okay for you to request a trade and just end it. I'm tired of it.
Free agency nearly
for both
upon
sides.
Us. Yes. And it could be very, very exciting across the league and certainly here in Sacramento. One of the things that concerns me, Chris, is as we look at potential fits for the Kings, I'm not sure I'm seeing a lot of really good fits.
Yeah.
Naz Reid, well, he's gone. Draymond, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes, but he's probably not going to be available. So there are some names that people are excited about, but I'm not sure I'm seeing really good fits. It reminds me of way back when in 89, the Kings had the first pick in the draft, but it's like, but there's really not a lot of great players there to choose from. They ended up with Purvis Ellis.
Yeah, it's not a great free agency class. I mean, when Chris Middleton I think you actually pointed out a couple weeks ago we were doing when we were initially laying out the free agents. You mentioned I think it was John Hollinger.
It was. You're right.
Yeah, he had a free agency tier list.
Tier 1.
Tier 1, nobody.
Yes, exactly
Tier 2,
right.
Chris Middleton. Yeah. And that really speaks to the quality that there is in this free agent class. It's just there's not really a star. I mean, the Kings want to get that third option out there so much and make themselves a big three with Domas, Fox, and player X, but that guy's just not out there this offseason. And so, yes, the Kings have tons of free agency money, and we talked about it last week. I think it would be better for them as the landscape currently looks, to use that money to fill out the roster with really good high-end role players instead of going out there and just saying, look, we have $35+ million. Let's just give Kyle Kuzma 28 million, whatever number you want to throw out there. Throw Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, whoever your favorite option is. Give them a ton of money just to secure them because we have the money and they're the best option and we can price everyone out. I just don't think that's A, that doesn't seem to be how Monty McNair does business, and B, that's not how you do good business.
339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You want to give us a call or shoot us a text on the YouTube chat. Here we have this from Star HD. Kuz or Grant or Barnes and Wood? Jay Jolly says overpay Cam Johnson is better than overpaying Kuz.
I agree. I think I agree. I would much rather
really overpay Cam Johnson.
That's the problem with restricted free agency is you almost have to set that number. You have to think, okay, what is a high amount for this guy? Okay, now what's a couple million more than that? Because with restricted free agency, the game is just trying to get the other side to opt out, to say, we
too rich for my blood.
Too much, exactly. Too rich for my blood. And that's what it's going to take with Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson, maybe, and we talked about that from, I think, literally the start of all of this. The second the Kings season was over and we were looking at what would be good options, Cam Johnson was one of your first names off the board, and I think he's a perfect fit. It's just the restricted free agency nature of it all. You don't know what he's going to actually be worth.
Yeah, the fun is just starting. So who should the Kings pursue in free agency? There's one easy answer to that. We have that for you coming up. Chris and company, Watkins and Whitey, Sactown Sports.
It was an amazing season for the Sacramento Kings.
The coach of the year.
These honors don't come around often, and so you're very appreciative of them.
The clutch player of the year.
Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
And a return to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years.
16 seasons of frustration. Sacramento has clinched the playoffs.
Keep it on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com for all your Kings off-season news.
Sacramento Kings basketball is back this summer. Catch 6 games of NBA action and fun for the whole family when the California Classic Summer League returns on July 3rd and 5th. The Kings will host the Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers, Miami Heat, and newly added San Antonio Spurs and Charlotte Hornets with the number 1 and number 2 NBA draft picks. 2-day passes start at just $42 and include access to all 6 games. Visit Kings.com/California Classic for more information and to buy your tickets today.
Y'all ready to do it again, Sacramento? Country in the Park 2 is coming to Heart Health Park at Cal Expo Saturday, September 9th with Cole Swindell, Chris Jansen, Dylan Scott, and more. Plus, a mechanical pool, line dancing saloon, and all the food. Tickets start at $40 or grab your Coors Light Y'all Access passes for $125. For more info, visit SactownSports.com. Country in the Park 2, brought to you by Attic Man Heating and Air Conditioning, E2 Family Winery, and Hyatt Vacation Club.
Live and local, it's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
And we're getting ready for NBA free agency.
Can't wait.
I will say this, though, before we get to that. Chris, you look like you got some sun yesterday, maybe.
Do I really? Oh, man.
Were you at the Giants game?
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
Although it wasn't that sunny there from what I saw.
Oh, it was not. No, it was a brisk 60 degrees yesterday in San Francisco, but it was a beautiful day, honestly. I mean, yeah, I took full advantage of it. Went out to the Giants game yesterday.
And you hate
Amtrak.
Baseball, so that's nice.
Hate is a very strong word.
You can't stand baseball, so that's great.
I hate baseball culture outside of I like the player culture, but I don't love baseball. I would say I don't love baseball. That is for sure.
Okay.
It's a good time, though. But also very much, and I feel like I said this when I first came on the station, and I don't think for 90% of people going to baseball games, it's just not about the baseball. I just think it's very much about vibe, and like my entire time there, I was just like, I'm going to go. Like, Oracle Park is maybe a special experience, but I was like, I care way more and I'm way more excited about the food options at Oracle than actually watching the Giants versus the Diamondbacks on a Sunday.
I would say baseball is like one of those games where you can not like it at all and completely enjoy yourself at the game.
Yes.
Great point.
Absolutely. Soccer's like that too. And yeah, definitely. If you go to the right stadium, absolutely. You can just, have a good old time and not watch any of the games.
So you had lots of choices, just as the Kings are going to have some choices here.
Yes, everybody got choices.
What were your free agent food choices?
I got the pokey. Wasn't awesome. I was
the
trying
$20 pokey.
Yes, never heard of anyone
it was
getting
$20
pokey at a baseball game before.
That's exactly why I got it. That's why I got it. It was like literally
was there a line?
There was no line. It was literally the smallest food stand there. Wasn't great. Go figure. Wasn't awesome. It wasn't terrible, but it just was. There was nothing special about it, and it was like $18 or $20. I wanted to get lumpia. Line was way too long. Wasn't even going to wait for that. My girlfriend got the crab sandwich, everything and more. She loved it. Again, $20 though for like literally like a streak of a. Like, it's like somebody cut a sandwich into like 5 pieces and it's just one strip. So
we were at Petco once watching the Giants and Padres, and my daughter got a salad, and it was one of those, the plastic.
Yes. Just
clear.
Yeah.
And she opens it and there's something about it she didn't like, and she turns it back in and she explains there's something she didn't like. The guy goes, yeah, okay, no problem. And I think he just like put it in the stack with all the other ones.
Oh my God. And just Russian roulette it in. He was like, someone else will get it. It's fine. Yeah. There's plenty more salads. Someone else will either not complain or we'll just do it all over again.
Sure.
That's incredible. At Petco.
Yeah.
Petco. I actually had a really good time at Petco too. Another experience where didn't watch the baseball game, but had a blast just in left field and in their little like bar area. Great time.
It's a really nice park.
Yeah,
but
it's beautiful.
It's not Oracle.
It is not. No, I mean, Oracle is something special. I was sitting in the 300s with the rest of us common folk, and it was beautiful, man. Just like not even watching the game, just looking out at the bay. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was a great time.
I'd pay not
a lot
a lot
better than Coliseum.
$5 to go sit up there and just eat lunch and look over the water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if the game wasn't going on.
No, absolutely. If you just said
nice.
It's open, pay $5 to go eat your lunch here. Absolutely. Yeah. 300. That's the great thing about Oracle too, is just like, it feels like every level you get something like in the 300s, even though you're not close to the action, you get the great bay view. 200s, you get the club level. The club level I sat in last time, awesome, all private concessions and everything. And then obviously in the 100s, you're closer to the field. So not quite the call.
Good crowd, right? They have people are returning.
Great crowd. Yeah. I think
they've been winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was funny how that works.
All right. So how about the King's choices here? What is the pokey salad equivalent of a free agent.
What is the pokey salad? Probably Kyle Kuzma.
So overpriced.
Overpriced.
Not the best.
And not
really,
a lot of people in line.
Yeah.
Overpriced, not the best, not a lot of people in line. That's a good one. Possibly Dylan Brooks, depending on what he ends up getting. Jeremy Grant. I guess there could be a couple people in line for Jeremy Grant. But
could be. I think the easy answer here, we talked last week about looking at the type of player that Monty likes and then looking at what's available and saying, where's a match? I think Bruce Brown is a guy. My guess would be the Kings would love to have him.
I would love to have
Bruce
Brown.
Goes, that's the guy we need. Now, I don't know how realistic that is because he's got options. He was a great pickup for the Nuggets last year.
Yeah.
On a bargain contract.
Right.
And now he's going to get paid.
As we just heard, though, our guy Michael Malone.
Yeah.
Not willing to go. He doesn't. Hell no. He's not going anywhere.
For him to stay there, he would have to take less money and he'd have to gamble on getting a big deal from them in 2 years.
We're running back.
That's the problem for them. They can't just say, hey, Bruce Brown, what do you need? We'll keep. That's not an option for him.
No, it's
so that's
not.
why it looks like he's probably going to see what else.
Yeah, right. And he turned down a $6 million player option, I believe. So
6, 7, something like that.
Yeah, I think he can probably.
Yes.
I think he can get the mid-level exception.
Yes.
Hell yeah. I think he could get somewhere near 12 and a half.
And it would kill Michael Malone, but they
just
can't.
Oh man,
they can't offer that.
I don't know if I want to see it just to see. I don't want to see Mike that sad. He really loves himself some Brucey B. So I don't know. I think he would be an awesome signing here in Sacramento. He's the kind of guy who just he's wherever you want to put him, he can play and give you some value. I mean, I know you'll look at his frame and you'll say, oh, he's 6'4", 6'5", but not really like a knockdown shooter.
Guard some fours.
He can guard some fours. That's the position I like him most at, is like a small ball four almost. I just think that what I saw, I specifically think of his time in Brooklyn, but also what he did last season in Denver. I just really like how he's able to play up. He brings a real level of defensive intensity and tenacity that I think this team desperately needs. And to have him come off the bench, he's also got some guard skills as well. I think he could play a backup too as well with Malik Monk, maybe with Davion Mitchell as well. Just a really versatile guy. And to me, that's exactly what the Kings need, is a dude who they can put in realistically in any kind of situation and have him work and be able to play with winning basketball. And I think he's already proven playing with Jokic that he knows how to play in a really good motion-based system.
I wonder if he would be enough though for the Kings to get them. Obviously he makes you better.
Yeah.
Does he make you better enough where you would then say, all right, we're done? Or would you still have to make a major move or another lesser move? I think he's very impactful. And I think, to me, he's the perfect player, him and Cam Johnson. Yes. But Cam, the problem is as we've discussed, as we'll discuss further, you'd have to pay a lot to convince the Nets to let him go. And I don't know if he'd be worth it. But those two guys are the guys that stick out to me as the most Monty-like players that are on the market or could be.
I think the Kings could make that work. I mean, if you can bring over Sasha Vezenkov without using your actual mid-level exception for that, that's great. You can.
And there are reports that they might, but the reports are literally in another language.
Yes,
and I don't know what they say.
I do not speak. I don't even. I think it's Greek. I can't tell you. I really don't know. But yeah, that's not in English, so we can't tell you exactly what Vezenkov has been offered, but we can tell you that it's been offered something. I think Frankie wrote something over at Sactown Sports. If you want to go read that. If you want to read more about that, I should say. So if they can bring Sasha over without the mid-level, use the mid-level on Bruce Brown, that doesn't affect their cap space. They still have the $35 million, 35 plus. I need to get the exact number. I know it's more than 35 million. They can use that on free agency. So there's a situation where they can bring over Sasha, sign Bruce Brown, and still throw money, big money, at a guy to replace Harrison Barnes in the starting lineup. And to me, if that's what the Kings' move is from this offseason, I'm incredibly happy. They still definitely have questions at backup center at that point. I think they'll still have some funds to address that. I still believe that they could use another backup playmaker besides Davion Mitchell. They can address that maybe later or whatever. They don't necessarily have to address that, I guess. But I think
a traditional point guard type
yes,
guy?
A traditional point guard. I think that they need somebody that they can just put the ball in their hand and have it be a steadying kind of force and not really, they don't necessarily have to be a scorer at all, but I just think somebody who can set everybody up and can create shots for others is something that the Kings desperately need.
Fans _only on the YouTube chat. Mitchell Edwards picks for OG ? The only way that
how
works
many
is
picks?
All
of the picks?
That's the thing.
It would be all of the picks. Then.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
that's even then, I don't know if that's working.
Ujiri'd be. Yeah, never mind the players. How many picks are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about the picks.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
And players now, decent players, I think they cost too many picks.
Yes,
that's just what the market has been since last year and those Jazz trades of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Right. I mean, it's I know Kevin Durant is also a star, but look at what it took to get Kevin Durant. They had to ship off Mikal Bridges, who's incredible. Cam Johnson, who we're begging for, and then picks on top of that as well. Like just the price of getting anybody with really any name value is it's borderline impossible if you don't want to give up something incredibly significant. And something tells me that any conversation that goes on with Masai Ujiri is going to start and end with Keegan Murray. I just don't think that there's any way the Kings get that deal done with a guy like Masai without Keegan being involved. I just think Masai is a guy who values his people way too much.
And if I'm the Kings, I'm not interested in trading Keegan Murray.
No, the Kings are trying to get additive.
I'm not trying to Keegan Bradley, who just won a tournament.
Hey, I
did see that maybe they wouldn't notice.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we'll say with Davion Mitchell, Kessler Edwards, and Keegan Bradley.
Keegan Bradley.
Yep. Yeah. Keegan. I'll give you Keegan. I said Keegan. Yeah.
It's worth a try.
It's worth it. Absolutely.
Up next, is it okay for a dad to complain about the way a team uses his son if the dad is also the son's agent? That's next here. Chris and Company, Watkins, Whitey, Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf.
It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa
on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street, right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Oh, God, he's back.
Who's back?
The clown.
The naked one?
Yes, Giggles. He just drove on the lot in a new Kia.
What, does he want to trade it in?
No, he wants to show it off.
Isn't he showing off enough? Oh, here he comes.
See what Elk Grove Kia did for me? That's service. That's why they got my business, not you.
I think we've already seen too much of your business. Thank you.
Elk Grove Kia. Great service for everyone.
Elk Grove Kia has never made it easier for you to show it off. Like the hottest all-electric EV in the market, the luxurious EV6. Save big with lease specials of $10,000 below MSRP. Not just one or two, but every EV6 in stock. Don't worry about credit. No credit, bad credit, charge-offs, repos. Don't worry. Our team has over 100 years of experience. Others say no. Elk Grove Kia says yes. Get your EV6 today at Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or elkgrovekia.com and show it off today.
Elk Grove Kia.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Verlot with your Sactown Sports headlines. The Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Vezenkov over the weekend. The Kings have had the rights to Vezenkov since June of 2022 when the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. Number one pick in San Antonio Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama has announced that he will not play for France in this year's FIBA World Cup. Will prepare for his rookie season with the Spurs and next year's Paris Olympics. Wembanyama does plan on playing for the Spurs in the Summer League. The Spurs are also one of the teams in the California Classic, which tips off on July 3rd here in Sacramento. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and Company with Whitey and Watkins.
Yeah, free agency almost here, along with the 4th of July. You like the 4th of July? I love the 4th of July.
It's all right. I don't think I've ever really done anything too special on 4th of July. Like,
summer.
I love that's the best part about it for sure. It's like it's really like the kickoff of
Play
summer.
a little softball or some wiffle ball. You're in the pool.
Yeah.
You got fireworks if that's your thing.
See, I like 4th of July up until the fireworks.
Same.
Really?
I hate fireworks. I shouldn't say I hate them, but like
Well, especially I'm guessing in your neighborhood as well, Chris. 4th of July starts like
way too
mid-May.
Yeah. Yeah, people. Actually, it started last night. Swear on everything.
On Cinco de Mayo.
Last night was
man.
the first time I heard fireworks, and it reminded me exactly what you're talking about, Chris. Like people set those things off a month before.
Oh,
4th of July.
in
I guess
my
now
neighborhood,
we're
we've been having mortars since May.
It's terrible. I don't know. Like, I just don't get what people I don't understand what people enjoy about it.
Blowing things up.
Yes, exactly. I understand that. But what about that?
Appeal.
Yes, what is the primal? I just don't have that. Whatever that is, I don't have that primal, like, explosion, go boom, awesome, cool.
I think I had that in high school.
I just never did. Like, it's not that it seemed dangerous. It was just like, okay. Like, I get like nowadays with the fireworks, you can make Mickey Mouse in the sky or whatever. I don't know what you can do. You can do crazy things with fireworks nowadays. I get that. I get but like after 3 to 5 minutes, I don't know. I'm just like, okay, I get it.
I like fireworks from when I was a kid, but now as I get older, I find more and more people that I'm around, they don't like fireworks. And I know that they're dangerous, and I get all that. It's like, hey, let's get some fireworks.
Yeah.
No, and my poor dog.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Now you got to think about dogs.
It.
You got to think about, people who have PTSD and are triggered a lot by fireworks.
Yeah. What's not fun is like 10:30 at night on June 14th.
Yes.
When it sounds just like a bomb went off and all the alarms on the street are going off, and then
June 14th is Flag Day, so
Kids
it's actually kind of appropriate to have fireworks on June 14th. Anyway,
I just feel like I'm the oldest man in America sometimes. I really do.
Well, you're just
I think so too.
Very crotchety sometimes.
You're just more conservative in a way, just more down to earth.
Wow,
connected, grounded.
Oof.
Tim Duncan.
I like those words.
Fundamental,
a lot more. Yeah.
fundamentally sound.
I feel like Chris thinks if he enjoys something,
something's wrong.
Something's gonna someone will bring him down for that.
Yeah.
Chris to me is a type. If he enjoys someone, to be like, man, that's great, right? That would be probably not real demonstrative.
But then on the side, he would just it was good, but
there's always there's no way it's a perfect event, right? Like nothing's ever perfect. There's always something can be improved upon.
To me, that's especially important now as kind of a counterbalance because so many people and so many things, everything is just so over the top.
Yeah,
So
the
we
greatest.
need
Everything is
Chris
the greatest
Watkins in the
and
world
the
to just
biggest.
bounce like, you know what? Yeah, that's pretty nice, but
good.
come on, we can do better.
I just try and think rationally.
Let's not get carried away.
Sometimes I do not like being the wet blanket. I do really enjoy I do enjoy being a part of things. It's just a lot of the time I have to make sure I gotta I gotta check some boxes to make sure that we're all understanding that we're coming to the same conclusion for the right reasons, not just because it seems to be the right thing.
One of the cool things about 4th of July now, if you're an NBA fan, of course, that's when free agency is really getting underway.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this isn't even technically the quote unquote legal tampering. We're still in the illegal tampering period.
Right. But by 4th of July, we'll be full on looking at signings and things.
Kevin Durant Day, right?
Do you think the Kings, without getting into specifics, which we will get into at some point here, but just for this question, do you think there are going to be some fireworks? Do you anticipate some fireworks?
I think so. I think the Kings have way too much money and have been linked already to way too many people for them not to do
that's
something.
their plan, huh?
Yeah, they have to do something big. I mean, I know I said earlier that I wish that they use this to kind of spread out, diversify their portfolio a little bit and just get an abundance of people as opposed to just throwing money. But it really feels like with the Kings being the only major players or most successful team with money this offseason, that they're going to clearly try and do something to improve at that Harrison Barnes spot. I think whatever that may be will be determined, but I think that they're definitely shaping up to do something, definitely not landscape shifting. I don't think they're going to make a move for Kawhi or Paul George or anything like that, but I think they're definitely going to make their name known with a lot of the bigger free agent targets.
There are rumblings, are there not, that Paul George could be available?
There are a lot of rumblings that Paul George could be available. Last week, they were saying that I think Mark Stein put out that the Clippers are gauging interest in Paul George and definitely seeming like it's more than just gaining information. It's a little bit more of like actually trying to see what his value would be out there. So,
Paul George is a guy who's been on some talented teams that haven't ever really done much.
Yeah, no, Paul George.
He's a good player.
That kind of just describes Paul George as well. He's a really, really good player who, frankly, kind of hasn't really done much. He's been on a lot of really good teams, some Clippers teams, all the way back to the Pacers years as well. Don't forget about his OKC season where he was an MVP candidate as well. He's a really, really good player. Just kind of ends up being hurt a lot and always just never ends up going his way. But I think he's the kind of guy where if you do bring him to Sacramento, and that's kind of landscape changing in my opinion. That's like a star that the Kings kind of really need if they want to go to like a championship contention level.
My guess is though, you'd have to give up so much to get him.
Yes,
that you're really not necessarily going to improve much.
No, again, that conversation starts and ends with Keegan Murray. Probably. I mean, there's no way that the Clippers would ship off Paul George, even though he's older, even though he gets paid a ton of money. There's no way that deal gets done without Keegan Murray involved. And I just don't think that I think the Kings want to pair someone with Keegan Murray, not get rid of Keegan and replace him.
There's another pretty good forward who could be available via trade, and his dad says his team's not using him correctly. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it sounds way too familiar. It sounds like Marvin Bagley. Sounds a lot like Marvin Bagley.
Well, in this case,
I hope you're not talking about Marvin.
Talking about Marvin Bagley. In this case, the dad is also the agent of the player. Terrell Harris is the father of Tobias Harris. Terrell is also the CEO of Unique Sports Management. And he was recently on the Business of Sports podcast. And he says he was asked if Philadelphia has used his son, Tobias Harris, properly. Personally, I don't think so. The reason I say that, well, Tobias is an assassin scorer.
Oh.
I mean, they can't stop him. Nobody in the league can stop him.
Except for the Sixers.
He's proven that over his career, even when he was with the Clippers, he was an assassin scorer.
Sure.
And then LA traded him because they got too good. So they traded him to the Sixers. Ever since the Sixers, they put him in the corner. Terrell Harris on his son, Tobias Harris.
All of that is kind of a fact. Like, there's really not much of lies in there. I don't know if I would go as far as saying an assassin. I mean, I definitely remember that Clippers year pretty well because I really wanted the Kings to look at a guy like Tobias Harris, especially with how well he was playing. Even though I'm looking at his stats now, I mean, 19 points per game, 20 points per game the following season, like, really good, especially for a guy like Tobias Harris. But that's not, let's not act like Tobias Harris was out here putting up Paul George 25, 26 points per game. Really good player, but definitely fits into the Harrison Barnes All-Stars category where he's good when he's out there and he's doing things, but too many times you look around and you're like, boy, we could really use some Tobias Harris right now, and he's nowhere to be seen.
Tobias Harris, here are the numbers, and this is why he could be on the market. He averaged just under 50 in a game last year, just under 6 rebounds. His true shooting percentage was 60.2, which that's like an assassin.
Yeah, that is
shooting percentage.
That's really good.
But the Sixers are paying their fourth option $39.3 million next season. That's 29% of the cap. And so for the fourth option with the way the CBA is now, it's like, oh, that's too much for this guy. So Sixers have explored trading him. There's interest in teams like Suns, Cavs, Mavs, Jazz, Cavaliers, Pacers, and Pistons all have expressed interest. Some think the Kings should make a play for Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I just don't. I think that's just an overpriced Harrison Barnes. Like, I think Tobias is a better scorer.
Last week,
yeah, I think Tobias is a good scorer, probably a better scorer than Harrison Barnes. Provides more length. I don't know if he provides more defense. He's probably more of a 4 than a 3, which is probably good for the Kings scenario. But again, just not really a guy that, especially when you're going to be paying him $40 million per year. He's not really giving you that kind of value. And I'm looking right now at the last 5 games of his season, which was, if we'll remember the games against Boston, 7 points, 9 points, 16 points, 2 points, and then 19 points. So that's kind of the Tobias Harris experience. And if you look at Harrison Barnes's game logs, you'll see some stretches of play that are really similar to that, where when he's involved and he's going, big help, huge help, massive. And usually when Tobias Harris plays well, that means the Sixers are going to have a lot better chance of winning. Same story with Harrison Barnes. It's just when they don't play well, it's like, man, we would like some consistency from somebody that we're paying that much money.
Well, see, his dead agent says they're just not using him right. Look what he can do when you use him right. But here's the problem if you're thinking of maybe the Kings making a run at him. According to reports here, the Sixers, they're a pretty good team. So if they're going to trade Tobias Harris or anybody, they want a lot of help back.
Right.
Here's what Daryl Morey was asking for in return. There's a report that Morey asked the Cavs who were interested in Tobias Harris for Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and a draft pick. It's like, come on. So again, that gets you back to, if you're the Kings, these trades, it's like teams are asking for too much for guys.
Yeah, and that also leads to Daryl Morey as a psychopath as well. Like he's definitely whatever Masai. If you want to say Masai overvalues his players, I don't know what you're going to say about what Daryl Morey thinks of his. Like Daryl Morey treats his players like they are actually his children, because you're not going to win a trade with Daryl Morey. And I know obviously Monty McNair and Daryl Morey have a very good relationship as Monty comes from his staff in Houston, but there's just no way, if that's what Daryl thinks is the asking price for Tobias Harris, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen,
and a draft pick.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do one of those for Tobias Harris, let alone all 3 combined. So again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Starts and ends with Keegan Murray, not going to happen. And you have to try and build up somewhere near $40 million in salary. And as we pointed out last week, the Kings only have a handful of guys even signed to their team right now. It would probably involve everybody. I mean, everybody except for De'Aaron and Sabonis at that point would probably be shipped off. And guess what? Not worth it for Tobias Harris. So for that reason, I'm out.
I think Bruce Brown may be the guy.
I think so.
And there's no guarantee you get him. Free. The thing about free agents is they're free to go where they want to go.
Would you pay him more than the mid-level so that would actually go into your 35 plus mil, or would you want to get him at the mid-level so it doesn't cut into that?
I'd be willing to go over. I like him that much, and I like his fit that much.
I think so. I would want to, I would take the risk. He just came off of a championship. He's a guy that really fits your team, and again, you can put him at a bunch of different positions to make it try and work. I think if there's anyone I would be willing to truly take a risk on, it would be a guy like Bruce Brown.
Mm-hmm. We'll circle back to NBA free agency, of course, but coming up next, we have a national writer with a 49er prediction that, well, it involves one of Chris's favorite players, but I just think it's a little short-sighted, if not just flat out dumb. And we have that next on Chris and Company. He's Watkins. I'm Whitey, Sactown Sports.
Need your Niners fix?
Sactown Sports has you covered.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Trey looks significantly better than he did last year. I really do. I think his confidence is there. I think that he's throwing really good passes. I mean, just watching him, he just looks so much more comfortable and confident in the pocket, and I really appreciate that from him, from all the work that he's put into it. He just looks like he's having fun, because when he's out there having a good time, it definitely brings up everyone around him.
Get all your 49ers coverage leading into the 2023 season at Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
At Elk Grove Honda, we see every Honda buyer as a member of the family, so we make sure every certified pre-owned Honda is one we would buy from ourselves. At Elk Grove Honda, we include many benefits that a private seller just can't match. Our Honda-trained technicians only certify our Hondas if they pass a thorough 182-point inspection, and our certified pre-owned Hondas are under 5 years old. So you know you're getting the newest Hondas in prime condition. See our exceptional selection of certified pre-owned Hondas in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or online at elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
For a business to thrive, there needs to be a constant stream of new customers. This happens through strong lead generation. Did you know that lead generation is one of the most important tools of any marketing campaign? Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products and services to them. To get started today, contact aimyourdigital.com. That's aimyourdigital.com and start seeing results today.
Summertime is a great time to get your home evaluated for solar, and while you're at it, make sure your roof is in good shape for all seasons. Hey, Jason Ross here to tell you about ACR Solar and Home Services. Go to acrsolar.com to find out all the different things that they can provide for you. And while we're all watching utility costs go up, along with everything else, why not make the most of the sunshine beating down on your roof? Harness that solar power and cut those rising utility bills while at the same time improving the value of your home. ACR Solar and Home Services makes it easy with a simple evaluation that'll show you just what it would take to get your home generating savings that help your bottom line and help protect the environment. So start now, and while you're there, ACR Solar and Home Services can make sure your roof is in prime condition. So just go to acrsolar.com and start your savings today. ACR Solar and Home Services, quality, value, and integrity since 1979.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but it's been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento. And I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 74 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stanton, Sam Moore, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sale event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Sitting at your desk, watch Chris and Company now. YouTube.com/Sactown Sports 1140.
We have breaking news in the NBA. There has been a trade. The player who probably has been rumored to be in trade talks more than any other player in the history of the league over the last couple of years has actually been traded. With details, here's Chris Watkins.
Yes, Adrian Wojnarowski puts out here that ESPN sources tell him that the Hawks are finalizing a trade to, as you mentioned, send off the most probably heavily used man in ESPN trade machine history, forward center John Collins.
Wow.
John Collins finally gets moved for a Sacramento King. No, I'm kidding. A former Sacramento King. The Utah Jazz send off Rudy Gay in a future second-round pick in exchange for the Atlanta Hawks forward center John Collins. Atlanta largely unloading Collins' 3-year, $78 million contract for some roster-building flexibility in alignment with looming changes to the salary cap.
So
that
it's
is
almost like
Adrian Wojnarowski.
For the Jazz, it's almost like, all right, we'll take him off your hands, but you got to take Rudy Gay, and then we'll give you a second-round pick. And the Hawks like, yes, that's fine.
That's my first thought when I see this is, boy, oh boy, when we saw John Collins was being offered for literally anybody, I mean, it was the reality that John Collins must have been in a trade offer for quite literally everybody. And the one that ends up getting accepted is a soon to be 37-year-old Rudy Gay and a future second-round draft pick for John Collins. It does not get lower value than that. That is just about giving up nothing to get back a guy who has started a lot of games for Atlanta, and
16 points a game for a career.
16 point per game scorer.
Yeah.
He's a young guy. I think he's 25 or 26 years old.
71 games last year.
Incredible. And it just speaks to how low his value is. I mean, his contract isn't great, but I don't think it's backbreaking. And, John Collins is good. He's not awesome, but he's somebody who I think could contribute. And I think I really like that for Utah, who just continues to take – it's like the land of misfit toys. It's everything that nobody wants, Oh, you don't like Colin Sexton? Yeah, we'll take him. We'll find something there. Lauri Markkanen? Yeah. We'll figure out something. We'll make that work. And now John Collins is coming over. I think
he's from Utah.
Is he really?
He's from Leyden, Utah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that's not a coincidence that he's moving to Utah, moving back over to Utah. Then I think it's a good situation for him. I think at this point he's gotten everything to prove. I clearly his value is incredibly low. I think that we've forgotten that John Collins is still a pretty decent player. When he's out there playing on the floor, and it's unfortunate that he was thrown in every trade possible, but I'm glad that now he has a new situation and we can look at him with some fresh glasses.
Yeah, the Kings got him about 3 or 4 times, right?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said the Kings got him about 3 or 4 times, right?
He's
rumored in everything.
Yes, rumored in everything.
Yeah.
Every Harrison Barnes trade, every Rashawn Holmes salary dump, everything was always for John Collins.
I was talking to Jerry about him once, and Jerry has really good friends with the Hawks, so Jerry knows the Hawks thinking maybe not as well as he did because they've had some regime changes. But I was saying on our podcast, I said, they don't like John Collins there in Atlanta because I thought they're always talking about trading him. And Jerry said, it's not that they don't like him. They like him fine, but it's just that contract became burdensome for him. And what happened to John Collins' 3-point shooting this year? Didn't he do something gnarly to his finger? He had some horrible finger injury or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that had anything to do with this, but look at his 3-point shooting numbers. John Collins, who again has been traded to the Utah Jazz, going back to his rookie year, 3-point percentages: 34%, 35%, 40%. 40%.
Wow.
36%. This year, 292.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, because that's how he's got to stay on the floor. He's got to be able to stretch the floor. He's not a defender at all. He's especially not a backup 5 or a small ball 5 at all. So if he's going to be on the court, he's got to be able to stretch the floor. And if he can't do that, then he's, I don't want to say unplayable, but it's just really tough to find significant minutes for him, especially when you're paying him $25 million per year.
Yeah, he got that contract based on what he did early in his career. The 2020 season, 21.6 points a game.
Wow.
40% from the 3-point line, 10 rebounds a game.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And he's just not quite that good. He's never been an all-star. No. So he's one of those guys that also has been mentioned by Kings fans as they look for an upgrade. Some Kings fans have said, what about John Collins? Yeah.
He's good. He's fine. He's not better than better than Harrison Barnes.
He's never going to be the player that he and everyone else thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think he can be a really valuable kind of backup guy. You see, what role I think would be perfect, like absolutely perfect for him, is that role that Rui Hachimura just played for the Lakers in the playoffs. I think he could be like a super sub.
But he just makes too much money for that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this point, and let me tell you, in the 2025-26 season, he has a $26 million player option. Do we want to break more news here? He's gonna pick that up. Something tells me John Collins is going to take that $26 million. I think so. I think something tells me in 2 years his value is not going to go
unless he can work out some kind of long-term deal with Danny.
I think Danny is looking at this like, boy, oh boy, kind of like how Isaiah Thomas used to look at big contracts. Just this will be expiring one day. One day this will turn into an expiring contract, and that'll be when I get the value on it. But as it sits right now, I mean, that is an absolute monster of a deal to take on for a guy that, again, maybe in Utah he could start some games. I think he'll probably be their 6th man. I can't imagine he's going to crack the rotation or the starting lineup over Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. But I think I think there's going to be a moment this year where we're like, wow, John Collins was in trade rumors for like the past 3 years. Maybe somebody should have jumped on it. And I could definitely see that for a week or two where John Collins is averaging maybe like those numbers that he averaged before, 20 and 10. I could definitely see it. But I think in the long term, it's best to be out of the John Collins business.
He played 5 games against Boston in actually these are his last 5 games in the playoffs. So he was, let's see, 6 for 8.
Okay.
He had 16 points. He had 22 points, and he had 5 points, 8 points, 5 points.
Ugh. So again, level of consistency there too is not quite what you want.
Actually, I take that back. It actually goes the other way. So it was 5 points, 8 points, 5, 22, and 16. So he finished that season.
There you go. Finish
that series with a flourish. Pardon me for reversing those numbers. So he's a hard player to figure because it's easy to look at some of the things he's done in the past, some of his numbers, and say, wow, this is a really good player, but he's not worth the money that he's getting, and he hasn't been consistent enough.
Yeah, and he just doesn't really do much outside of score either. I mean, he's a good scorer, as we established. Like he's been up near 16 to as high as 21 points per game. But you look at the rebounding numbers. I mean, since he averaged 10 rebounds that one season, has never been over 8 rebounds per game. He's 7.5, 7.8, and 6.5. Doesn't move the ball extraordinarily well. Again, doesn't really protect the rim at the level you'd want him to do it at.
Not that type of
he's a good piece, but if you're going to be paying him $26 million, I mean that's just way too much for what he's actually giving you. And he's a fine player, but not really moving the needle much. But in terms of just a value acquisition, I like it for Utah. I mean, if you're shipping off Rudy Gay and a 2nd round pick, that's really nothing. And you're definitely getting a player that has some talent. I kind of look at it like when the Kings brought over Harrison Barnes. I mean, they traded Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph. Harrison wasn't fantastic. He didn't bring the Kings a championship or anything, but I think especially for what they gave up for him, Harrison Barnes was a really good move in a vacuum. I think
Utah's one of those teams as the Kings look in the rearview mirror that scares me a little bit. Maybe they do for John Collins something similar to what they did for. Remember when Lauri Markkanen was like, that guy's terrible.
Yeah, last year you mean
even
365 days ago.
He's the player.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's an all-star.
Yes.
He's a 25 point per game scorer. He's a guy that maybe is a franchise player. I mean, there was Dirk comparisons being thrown out last year to Lauri Markkanen. So
Dirk Nowitzki?
Yes. The very same. Yeah. Not Dirk Verdern, obviously, the great weatherman here in Sacramento.
Yes.
But
fine job.
Dirk Nowitzki. Yes.
Dirk Verdorn's been a backup. He could be starter at most teams.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's
question.
Yeah. Got the experience, got the knowledge, all of it. Yeah. I would sign Verdorn tomorrow.
But that underscores, again, as we've said, how important it is for the Kings to strike and to score with all the moves they make in this offseason. There's teams behind them that are making moves that look like they're
scary.
They're sensible.
Yeah. And the King, that's why, it's good to see that the Kings are going to have the cap space to do something, because they're going to have to make, I don't know if it's got to be a big splash, but they got to definitely make some ripples if they want to continue to compete in the West, because there's a lot of young teams beneath them who are making moves.
Yep. All right. So we had to share that breaking news with you, and we're going to have a lot of breaking news in the days to come. Don't worry. This is a place to be for the latest on what's going on with the NBA. But we got to get to the 49er prediction. National Writer has a 49er prediction. I think it's just dumb. Let's see what you think next. Chris and company, Watkins and Whitey on Sactown Sports.
Catch the Oakland A's every weekend on Sactown Sports. Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Sinking, that's going to get down for a hit. Around third to score is Tony Kemp. And the A's have taken the lead. Edge of the track, makes the catch. And the Athletics get a great win.
Sactown Sports, your weekend home for the Oakland A's.
Sactown Sports coverage of the Oakland A's is brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave, and I recognize, just like my friends at American Energy Heat and Air, that your time is important. And that's why shopping for a new air conditioner is now easier with American Energy Heat and Air's online quoting tool. All you have to do is go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote right now. It'll help you determine what system you're going to need to get. It'll provide the best pricing options, all from the comfort of your home without having to have somebody come to your home. You know how annoying that is? They come in and, and everybody there is so sweet and nice, but how much better is it to be able to get it on demand? Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your needs are, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Shop the best deals of the summer now at Lowe's. Freshen up your home inside and out with buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Plus, save big on select patio furniture and accessories with up to 50% off. Lowe's knows July 4th savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 6/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details.
Oh, God. He's back.
Who's back?
The clown.
The naked one?
Yes. Giggles. He just drove on the lot in a new Kia.
What, does he want to trade it in?
No. He wants to show it off.
God, isn't he showing off enough? Oh, here he comes.
See what Elk Grove Kia did for me? That's service. That's why they got my business, not you.
I think we've already seen too much of your business. Thank you.
Elk Grove Kia. Great service for everyone.
Elk Grove Kia has never made it easier for you to show it off. Like the hottest all-electric EV in the market, the luxurious EV6. Save big with lease specials of $10,000 below MSRP. Not just one or two, but every EV6 in stock. Don't worry about credit. No credit, bad credit, charge-offs, repos. Don't worry. Our team has over 100 years of experience. Others say no. Elk Grove Kia says yes. Get your EV6 today at Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or elkgrovekia.com and show it off today.
Elk Grove Kia.
During a Flex Alert, let's do the dishes after 9.
What about the laundry?
It can wait until tonight or even the morning.
The AC?
It's at 78. Let's cool the house in the morning.
All right, so we're just chilling until 9.
Pretty much. And we can help avoid a power outage.
Putting off chores for later and hanging out with my best friend? I love Flex.
Maybe you should just unplug the appliances downstairs.
Good idea. Better acoustics in the basement.
California, the power is ours with Flex Alerts. Flex Alerts, the power is ours.
Pain is not normal. Repeat, pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free, no-obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento, the only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Reid with your Sactown Sports headlines. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Hawks are finalizing a trade to send John Collins to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick. Rudy Gay has exercised his $6.4 million option for this season to make the trade go through. Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Vezenkov over the weekend. The Kings have had the rights to Vezenkov since June of 2022 when the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Calderselli's story on SactownSports.com. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and company with Whitey and Watkins.
Hey, one quick note here we have to mention on John Collins, who's been traded finally. He has to be happy, right? That just finally it's over.
Yes.
Hawks trading John Collins to the Utah Jazz for former King Rudy Gay.
It's got to be
Second
weird.
round pick.
Yeah, it's got to be weird if you're John Collins, because it's like you've been playing for this team that, I mean, John Collins has to have social media, or at least have family who's on social media, and he has to know that he's been put in trade rumors for the past what feels like 5 to 10 years. And you know, it's got to be strange, and he's got to be excited because it's a brand new start, brand new team, going to look at him with some fresh eyes. Obviously, you know, his contract still definitely exists and everyone's very aware of what he makes. But I think just being in a new situation where there's not the pressure of everything on you, I think will be a good fresh start for him.
In 2021, he signed a 5-year deal, a 5-year extension worth $125 million with the Hawks, and they came to regret that rather quickly. But as we look at John Collins and his numbers and how they've fallen off, here's something to consider. And if you like to look at medical pictures that make you squeamish, you want to check this out. And if you don't, stay away from it. But he sustained an injury a couple of years ago. I think it was March of 2022. To his finger, he has something called a boutonniere deformity.
Okay.
It's just like
don't like to hear that.
Ring finger on a shooting hand. It's like, whoa, what happened to that? So I don't know the status of that now. He also had a foot injury, but you could understand if that's still an issue, you just look at those pictures, you could see how he would struggle shooting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's got an extra finger in terms of size wise. Like his middle finger is now where his ring finger should be, or his pointer finger should be. Yeah, it looks very gross because
it's not for everybody. I'm not saying you should check it, but if you're wondering, hey, what happened to that guy's finger? You might want to give it a
probably explains why he shot 29% last year.
I think it may have. Yeah.
You know, probably a really big drop off after that.
Yeah. They also explain to a large degree why he's not quite as productive as he used to be.
Yeah, sure. And, you know, we heard Willie Cauley-Stein say that he didn't want to dunk after hurting his finger. So maybe John Collins, who dunking was a very big part of his game, as his great nickname is John the Baptist. I think, you know, it could have affected his game all around as well. And, you know, I just think, again, with a new situation in Utah, I just think I think there's going to be a couple points in the season where we're like, wow, John Collins was available for nothing and everybody just passed on him.
A lot of people on the YouTube chat are suggesting that Danny Ainge is guilty of robbery.
He keeps doing it. How he can't keep getting away with this. I don't understand how Danny Ainge continues to swindle everybody, but you know, for giving up again, if you're just giving up Rudy Gay in a second round pick and you're getting a guy who actually has talent, like this isn't for Dylan Brooks or somebody who it's like, you know, oh, like maybe he's a fringe player and you got to deal with some stuff. Like John Collins is a really good basketball player. It's just with the price that he was given and frankly, how that Atlanta situation is also structured. It was going to be tough for him to find success there. And I just think in a new system, he's going to, especially back home in Utah, I think he's going to thrive in it.
Good player who probably is not as good as his contract suggests.
Absolutely.
He is not his fault. He didn't sign himself,
no.
But then his value has decreased because of that.
Yep.
And Utah with cap space able to swoop in, maybe take advantage of that. Depends where he is with his shooting and whether he's close to the player that the Hawks thought he was when they gave him the big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, Utah is just going to use this as an opportunity to kind of test run it. And, you know, it's not going to, I don't think Utah has championship aspirations anytime soon with all of the draft picks that they've acquired over the past year. So, you know, why not take a flyer on a guy who you know, maybe one day he is worth $26 million. I don't think you'll get a steal out of John Collins' contract, but maybe one day he'll live up to it.
Yeah, maybe he has a great start to the season, and then at the deadline, you've got to
exactly
spin off.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at something swirling around one of your favorite football players, Chris Watkins. Well, I know he's on your favorite team, but I don't know. Is Kirk Cousins one of your favorite football players?
Not one of my favorites, but I think Kirk is. I find myself defending Kirk more times than putting him down. So I guess I would say a Kirk Cousins apologist.
Okay. It must be lonely being that.
It is a very lonely place.
The good thing with Chris is when he sees the bad in everything, he also sees the good in everything
sometimes,
too.
Yeah, sometimes I try to.
Nice.
Again, yeah, it can't all be negative.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, predicts that the Rams and the 49ers will be competing come 2024 for the services of Kirk Cousins.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Says, I think you're going to see, unless the Vikings re-sign him by then, and they can't use the franchise tag on him the way his contract is structured, you're going to see a potential tug-of-war between Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay for Kirk Cousins next March. He said that last week on the Rich Eisen show. Mark that down, says Mike Florio. I don't see it.
Yeah, the Rams thing doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure that both McVay and Shanahan spent time as Kirk Cousins is in Kirk Cousins' quarterback room, either as a quarterback's coach, as the OC in Washington. And so I guess there's the interest from there, but the Rams thing doesn't really make sense. The Niners have been linked for Kirk Cousins as long as the Vikings have had Kirk Cousins. It seems like he's been the apple of Shanahan's eye, and so that doesn't really surprise me.
And Stafford looks like he may have the old slinky elbow. Yeah. So unfortunately,
no, I think it's an interesting fit. I like the fit a lot more in San Francisco. I know, again, I'm going to find myself apologizing for Kirk Cousins, but I think he's gotten a really bad rap. And if you give him an elite defense, like what San Francisco has, that's a Super Bowl team. Like, I'm sorry. It really is. And like, I don't think I would put them the favorite, but I would put them as a really close favorite next to the Eagles to at least come out of the NFC if they bring in Kirk.
Mike Florio says there was talk recently of the Vikings and Kirk Cousins and the 49ers. He says apparently at the scouting combine, there was some chatter, there was some noise among people within the broader league structure, not the media, but people in the league about Cousins being traded to the 49ers. Yeah. That was a hot topic at one point in Indianapolis.
Yes, there is in my Viking circles that I follow, I have heard a lot of that as well. And it's mainly based, especially, before OTAs got started, that it was going to be for Trey Lance, because Trey Lance is a guy who's from Minnesota and, would be a nice reset. The Vikings are kind of in this rebuild, reset kind of phase right now, and they're kind of in the middle of it. And I think it would be a situation that could be best for both teams, where I think Kirk Cousins is a lot more of a win now quarterback, and Trey Lance is clearly a little bit more of a developmental. And, if the Vikings wouldn't have to give up any significant draft capital in order to get Trey Lance, I think that's a really good move for both sides. I think Kyle Shanahan gets what he wants. I think Trey Lance would get what he wants as well.
Free agency on the brain.
Free agency on the brain. So I think it would be a good move for both of them if that's what the deal would be. But frankly, I think to go back to the initial point, I think Kirk Cousins is a really good option for San Francisco if they actually want to try and go for a Super Bowl, kind of go all in for a Super Bowl this or next season.
Right after the season ended, before the trade for Trey Lance, Shanahan was talking a lot about his ideal quarterback. And he actually said this. You can find this. There's probably audio of him saying, people say my ideal quarterback's Kirk Cousins. He said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know that he feels the same way about Kirk Cousins. If Brock Purdy's healthy, I think the 49ers are really happy with that.
I do too. I mean, that's a 7th round pick, especially with just what you're paying him. Like, I think that you're not going to get better value in the entire NFL than a starting 7th round quarterback.
Yes.
If you can get that for the next 3 years, that's the best thing that you can have in football. Point blank period.
Kirk Cousins would cost a lot of money, and there are questions about his ability to, I know the analytics don't measure this, but lead a team.
Yes. Could he actually take a team to a different stratosphere, or
even
is he?
Jimmy Garoppolo did that to a degree. He led that team. They rallied around him.
I think Kirk, given a couple years, can do it. Like last year was the first time in Minnesota I saw Kirk really have the locker room behind his back. Before that, it was a lot of Kirk's kind of aloof, a little bit of he does his thing and like he's friendly with some guys, but definitely not a team leader. So that's still, that's definitely still a question. But I think in terms of quarterback play, like Kirk Cousins would be.
Oh, he can spin it.
He's a lot better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a lot I think
he's a lot more gifted as a passer, no question.
I would have to have conversations.
Yeah, right. It's not close.
I would have to have conversations with Raider fans all the time who are like, I think Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins are in the same class, and if they are, like, it's complete opposite ends of the class. Like, to me, Kirk is the high end of those. I hear you. He's not anywhere near Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, that category of guys. Even Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't put him there. but he's a lot better than what you think of as an average NFL quarterback. Like he's going to give you better performances than what Jimmy G, what Derek Carr, those kind of that tier of quarterback.
I could see the Rams.
Matt Stafford.
If they're desperate. I could see them definitely interested there. I just don't think the 49ers at this point. I think Shanahan is out of he's beyond his Kirk Cousins phase.
I could see. I mean, I think to your point, I think Kyle Shanahan's perfect quarterback is if Trey Lance would have panned out. I think that's truly what Kyle Shanahan is seeking. I think he wants somebody who can be a threat with his legs, but also Kyle Shanahan wants a perfect quarterback. Is what he wants. He wants a guy who can run, but also can throw. And I think everybody's kind of looking for those kind of guys. So Kirk Cousins is. He's a solid guy. He's a best possible version to me of what kind of the Niner quarterback system is right now.
We are coming right back with this. Can the Kings improve without adding a top tier player? Do they need a impact player to get to where they need to be next year? That's coming up next. Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports is your source for the 49ers.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Did that leave a bitter taste in your mouth?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me and Kyle had a long meeting the other day. We watched tape. We talked about it. We put it behind us. And just going through the tape and just look how sluggish and like how bad it looked on tape. Like I said, just reflecting on last offseason, it kind of played a big role in that. I never put nothing like that back on tape again.
Tune into Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com for the latest 49ers offseason developments.
Summertime is a great time to get your home evaluated for solar, and while you're at it, make sure your roof is in good shape for all seasons. Hey, Jason Ross here to tell you about ACR Solar and Home Services. Go to acrsolar.com to find out all the different things that they can provide for you. And while we're all watching utility costs go up, along with everything else, why not make the most of the sunshine beating down on your roof? Harness that solar power and cut those rising utility bills while at the same time improving the value of your home. ACR Solar and Home Services makes it easy with a simple evaluation that'll show you just what it would take to get your home generating savings that help your bottom line and help protect the environment. So start now, and while you're there, ACR Solar and Home Services can make sure your roof is in prime condition. So just go to acrsolar.com and start your savings today. ACR Solar and Home Services, quality, value, and integrity since 1979.
Keeping you company with the company. It's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Thank you for making us part of your Monday. Kevin Michael, Whitey Gleason, Chris Watkins. He went to the Giants game yesterday.
I did.
I stayed home and watched the Giants game on TV.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was time to get out, and it was a 1 o'clock start, so I had enough time to get back home, barely with enough time to get some good sleep. And it was not many better ways to spend a Sunday. So
let me tell you something. The NBA, as you know, NBA has done a great job over the last 10 years of taking over July.
Yes,
the month of
absolutely.
July.
Yeah, especially the start of July. Absolutely.
Before training camp starts.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this free agency buzz this week that we're heading into right here, and then the following week, and then you even throw some summer league action in there as well. Like, NBA has done a terrific job of keeping it. I mean, we're probably at 10-month season at this point, where it's like NBA is kind of at the forefront of storylines for a bit. I think that that's been a really big achievement of the Stern to Silver commissionership, has just been making it more of, they're almost at 12 months, but just making it as year round as possible. It seems like the news cycle is,
which is great, except it's impossible for the players to stand up to that much, demand physically, but that's okay.
Right.
You got the FIBA games and you got summer league and all that.
Yeah.
But I think it's because as fans, we recognize that one player going from team A to team B can change the whole power structure,
whole landscape,
of a whole conference, of a whole league, really.
Right.
Depending on who the player is. So it's not just hype. It's really fascinating a lot.
Yeah, no, it's what makes it different than really any other sport. Like, I mean, the Angels have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, don't have any wins to show for it. I mean, in the NFL, so many times people will, it'll I can't think of anyone specific, but big name will move, non-quarterback will move, and
remember Washington
really
like 20 years ago, whatever it was. They tried to go all in on signing all these free agents, and they was like, yeah, they're still
the Eagles as well with that dream team Eagles, and then they were okay, not great, but in the NBA, I mean, with the exception really of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, if Kevin Durant is moved, or if whatever, if Russell Westbrook is moved. Even a guy like Russell Westbrook, like it usually means something in terms of winning, like it's going to impact the team pretty significantly. It's just like the impact that stars have in the NBA is unlike any other sport.
So the Kings have a lot of options here. They won't be able to necessarily do exactly what they want to do because, as I said earlier, we know free agents are free to go where they want to go. But do the Kings have to add a major piece? Do they have to add a top level player in order to improve to the level that they hope to improve to next year?
No, I'm going to say no.
I don't think so either.
And that's also because I think the level that they're trying to improve to next year isn't necessarily we're going to win a championship next year. I think if they want to get into serious title contention, and again, I always say title contention is realistically like making the conference championship, because all you can ask for at that point is just a chance. Like what ends up happening past then is kind of random to an extent. I think they need to add a star, or at least a third high tier guy if they want. And that could be Keegan Murray. It could be adding somebody else, but I think they need a clear
CBA now. It's really hard just to have like three max guys.
Yeah. It's almost impossible, especially, I think the Kings will be on the lower end of those max deals with De'Aaron topping off at mid 40s, I think, in terms of the millions, and Sabonis is going to be somewhere near that as well. So it's not like the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, those two make $120 million. But it's going to be really hard to build anything significant. Like you'll maybe have one or two guys making, anywhere from 20 to 15 million, but it's going to be the rest of the guys are going to be mid-level and then below that. I mean, it's just going to be really hard to build out an entire good roster of guys moving forward.
Given that they won the division last year, if they're better next year, then you're already almost a contender.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just if you're better than you were last year, it's like you're close to being in the thick of the championship conversation. So I don't think they necessarily need to add a big name. Fine if you do, but you have to give up so much to get those guys.
Yeah.
The other side of it, though, is if you don't, then the lesser moves you make, you just gotta boom.
You gotta nail them.
Yeah, you gotta nail them.
Yeah, that's the pressure of it. Is like, yeah, I mean, you can't we're talking about guys less than Kuzma, but even like Bruce Brown. We'll say Bruce Brown, somebody we're both really high on. Well, if Bruce Brown, knock on wood, gets injured in training camp or something like that, well, that's a really big blow, and that's going to really, really affect the Kings.
Bruce Brown would be, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bruce Brown would be, man, that's great.
Yeah.
What else did you do?
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And there's not really many guys who standing alone would be like, oh, the Kings did that? Oh, okay. Well, then I got to rethink what I think about them next year. I think, it's going to be an interesting offseason just in terms of how they navigate that dance of like, okay, like we clearly need to take a jump. Is it easier to take that jump going and getting that OG Anunoby or whoever you want to say is that bona fide third guy? Or is it easier to, again, just kind of build out the back end and almost raise our floor instead of potentially raising our ceiling, which I think could also be incredibly beneficial for a Kings team that was really lucky on the injury front last year. Like, in all aspects, their bench, their starters were relatively healthy. Yeah. I think there could be some value in just making sure, hey, let's make sure this thing doesn't sink. Like, let's try and keep a certain level of, okay, even if Malik Monk goes down for 15 games or De'Aaron goes down for 20, whatever it may be, let's make sure that we're built up enough to where we can withstand that and at least make a 6 seed or escape the play-in tournament just with the overall depth that they have.
You know, in my opinion, the aspect of that wasn't talked about enough is that you had two guys that played through significant injuries, and not all NBA players do that. And you can't blame anybody who says, I'm hurt, I can't go. But we knew about Sabonis, with the detached
foam or whatever
avulsion fracture, and he just wrapped it and played through it. But apparently Keegan had basically the same thing.
Yep.
And they just didn't talk about it. I was doing a show last season. I was in for Nick, so I was doing a show with Rami, and we were talking to Jordy Fernandez, and I asked him about Sabonis, and he said, yeah, Keegan also. And we both kind of said, wait, what? And he said, oh, no, nothing.
He said, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, you said Keegan.
You said he's hurt. No, yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
But that speaks to, I think, the culture and the commitment that you got two guys that are willing to play through that.
Yeah. No, and I mean,
and Fox in the playoffs.
And Fox in the playoffs,
sir.
right? Great
Well
point.
said.
Yeah. I think it also, but that also can kind of speak to the fact that both of those guys might have had to look around and again say, what's behind me if Sabonis misses 20, if Sabonis would have opted in and had that surgery and missed 30 games or whatever, I mean, he probably would have missed the All-Star break, so it might have been a little bit less than that. The Kings probably aren't making the playoffs because that means Rashawn or Alex Len, like somebody else would have had to play. And that's kind of my argument for not going out and getting the big name, big contract guy, because I just think that the Kings, and even in the playoffs, we were talking, the Kings just didn't have a lot of other options to go to outside of their main seven guys.
You don't want to be the basketball version of the San Diego Padres where you got like four guys that make you go, whoa, and then everyone else is like, ooh.
Yeah, your marquee is great, but if the guys who aren't on the mark, or I'm sorry, your marquee is great, but if the guys who are on the marquee aren't playing, then you're kind of screwed, and that's kind of where the Clippers kind of found themselves.
KZ Okpala last year.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. He was their starter game one. They were really like going into the season, they were like, KZ Okpala is going to be big for us this year. And then it got to a point where they played him and they were like, KZ Okpala is not going to be big for us this year. And that happened really quickly. So I think if the Kings can bring in more people who, and I think, I have personally said, I don't think it's a good idea to bring in Sasha and Trey, but there is also an argument to what if one of them can't go, or what if one is cold and the other's hot? Like, you want to be able to kind of plug and play guys and just bring in as many people as possible that you trust and feel you can throw into a game and have good results. I'm going to keep stating it, but I'm a bigger fan of bringing in the overall depth than the high end starter talent.
Yeah. So what is the latest on Sasha? Sasha and Lyles, can they coexist on this roster? And would Dame and the Blazers just make up their minds?
Do it already.
Next, Chris and company. He's Watkins. I'm Whitey. Sactown Sports.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Apparently, there is a cage match brewing between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Now, I hope this happens for many reasons. Number one, it just goes with the downfall of our society. Number two, nothing more fun than seeing super ultra mega billionaires just beat the hell out of each other. Number three, it would obviously be a terrible, terrible, terrible fight.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Elk Grove Honda.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Your Monday for the work week starts out comfortably as we head through the afternoon. We're looking at highs in the mid-80s. That's below average for this time of year, with overnight lows in the mid-50s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
At Elk Grove Honda, we see every Honda buyer as a member of the family, so we make sure every certified pre-owned Honda is one we would buy from ourselves. See our selection of certified pre-owned Hondas in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or online at elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street, right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please, gamble responsibly, 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm Craig Ashton of the Injury Law Firm of Ashton & Price. Whether you've been injured on a bicycle, as a pedestrian in a slip and fall, auto, Uber, Lyft, or big rig accident, you need Ashton & Price in your corner. When you call Ashton & Price, there's no chatbot telling you to hit 3 for accounting. You're greeted by a real-life person who will immediately transfer you to an experienced attorney. The consultation's free, and there's never a fee until you win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com. SactownSports.com.
The Gold Rush Classic, where the stars and guitars shine. The Gold Rush Classic is a celebrity pro-am golf tournament, a $1 million hole-in-one contest, a celebrity draft party, and a concert on July 13th and 14th in Rancho Murrieta. The Gold Rush Classic Stars and Guitars concert is Friday, July 14th, featuring Atlanta Rhythm Section and Skin and Leonard. Enjoy the smooth southern sounds of Atlanta Rhythm Section with their award-winning hits, Spooky, So Into You, Champagne Jam, Imaginary Lover, and more. 2 bands, one great night of Southern rock the way you remember. Enjoy an evening of Southern rock under the stars, lakeside at Rancho Murrieta's beautiful amphitheater. Tickets are available through goldrushclassic.org or through Eventbrite. Atlanta Rhythm Section, Friday, July 14th in Rancho Murrieta. For tickets or sponsorship information, go to goldrushclassic.org. Sponsored by Rancho Murrieta Homes and Land.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug. Ew, a bug, get it. But the chances of actually hitting it, over there, are statistically, it's still alive. Unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem, rooted in nature, optimized by science.
Okay, next time you're at the store, I dare you to not think about the unmistakable fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring. Yeah, you heard me. I want you to resist picturing a shower filled with those sensational Irish Spring suds. And if you succeed, well, you got what my gramps used to call resolutitude. Not a real word, but let's be honest, you're probably going to end up leaving with Irish Spring because of its irresistible scent and because you have zero resolutitude. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines. I'm Christopher Lott with your Sactown Sports headlines. The Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos for forward Sasha Vesnikov over the weekend. The Kings have had the rights to Vesnikov since June of 2022 when the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Hawks are finalizing a trade to send John Collins to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick. Rudy Gay has exercised his $6.4 million option for this season for the trade to go through. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and Co. with Whitey and Watkins.
Tough day in some regards for some Kings fans because, free agency nearly upon us and Kings fans getting excited about, we'll get that guy. Well, Naz Reid ain't coming through that door.
No, he's staying in Minnesota, staying in the cold lands, and it's unfortunate that
for him.
And I would like to formally state that even though it does sound like I'm not for Naz Reid, I was for Naz Reid coming here.
He was going to come here until he heard about you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that guy
this
Watkins
is kind of my fault.
has been bad mouthing me.
That's why I'm a bad boy of media. Dang right! Don't you forget it. I'm afraid to say the things that people are afraid to say.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned, Jerry Reynolds texted me yesterday.
Sorry, Jerry.
Angry face emoji.
I know.
Naz Reid is re-signed. Angry face.
He brings some grit. That's the one thing. Like if I can look back on the Naz Reid Kings tenure, it's the grit that he theoretically would have brought that I really would have really enjoyed. Just a level of like real doggedness and like some feisty and just a scrapper and. The problem, and I've stated this, I think one of the times where we talked about Naz Reid, his stats look awesome. I mean, especially just in the limited sample size that he plays. I mean, never really has played over 20 minutes, but is one of those guys where you look at his per 36 and his per 36 can't truly exist because he averages 6 fouls per 36. So that's also an issue is that he's kind of much like what we talked about from the start of looking at the Kings landscape. If they're going to bring people in, they have to be good defenders. And Naz Reid has not shown the ability to play defense without fouls.
I'd also say this, at least at least 80% of his dunks rob you of any sense of self-respect.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he steals. He absolutely is a soul snatcher.
Yeah.
I think he had one on Domas actually this year that was a nasty one. So
He's a basketball player.
He definitely is a bad, like he would have probably been the Kings' best lob threat. I mean, Malik's a pretty good one, but the best true lob threat since like Willie or Derek Williams.
We also, of course, Chris just mentioned it in the update again. Looks like John Collins is on his way to the Jazz. They've all been finalized to trade. And I know there are a lot of Kings fans, surprising to me, number of Kings fans who were hoping John Collins would end up coming here to provide an upgrade over Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, it's another name off the list, and John Collins has been rumored here, and I assume everywhere else for forever for the past 2 years at least.
He's not that good.
He's not great. He's definitely not a needle mover, and if he would have came here to Sacramento in a starting role, I just don't know what he really would have done besides score. I mean, he's a good rebounder. Not a good rim protector, not really somebody who can play small ball 5.
A little bit of a tweener, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and I know we're in the age of positionless basketball, but even in that age, he still kind of doesn't have a true position, which
positionless basketball is fine, but if you're a front court player who's too slow to guard small forwards and too small to guard big forwards, then you're a tweener.
Exactly.
It's like,
can't really do much with him. Like you can't. I just don't think he really has a spot for this team, especially, again, a team that really needs defense. I don't think John Collins would replace anything Harrison Barnes would do. If John Collins is coming in as a 7th guy, sure, maybe. But again, that's when you got to factor in his $25 million contract for the next 3 years on top of that. So
Kings fans need some good news. Maybe we'll get some on the
Sasha
Vezenkov.
An emoji reaction from Jerry on John Collins.
No, but I'll ask for one.
Yes, please.
Ask him for
I'm
one.
very interested in what Jerry's go-to emoji is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to know what his emoji Rolodex looks like.
All right.
I would guess what are some good emojis for John Collins? Maybe like the one tier, maybe one tier shed for John Collins, because
I'm gonna go with the guy shrug.
That's a good one. That's a good one, because John Collins is very it'd be nice to have him, but not really pressed without him. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Sasha Vezenkov, and as again Christopher Lard mentioned, go to SactownSports.com. Frankie's got the latest on that. I think maybe Kings fans need some good news there. Maybe some's coming, and I'm just trying to figure out how good that news will be. And he's quite a shooter. It ain't a bad thing when Vezenkov comes on board, assuming he does.
Yeah,
depending on how much looks like you're not going to have to give him too much.
Doesn't look like it. And I'm reading Frankie's article right now, and he's I think Frankie actually did decipher the code that was that Greek article, and is in Frankie's reporting saying that the Sport24.gr is reporting that Vezenkov's offer is slightly lower than $8.4 million, which is, I like to hear that. I definitely was afraid when I was seeing Sasha being thrown out there for, somewhere near the actual full mid-level, which is around 12.5. I just have a tough time for a guy who hasn't played a single second of NBA basketball. I think that's a pretty big, that would have been a pretty big number. So at 8.5, or a little under 8.5, I'm a little bit more okay with that being Sasha's number, because again, he hasn't really proven much. And even if he does come over for what we think he is right now, he's a 6'9" shooter who has questions about his defense and is definitely a good fit for this offense. So definitely doesn't deserve no money, but I think somewhere in the mid level is about right for Sasha.
And he's got to pay his buyout himself, right?
Yeah,
in theory. I mean, he's got to pay it himself.
Yeah, I think the rule, the quote unquote rule, is that it's a $1.5 million buyout. And I believe the Kings pay half of it, and then Sasha has to pay the other half. But, something tells me the Kings could slide him an extra 750 and call it even.
That's the thing I always get confused with.
Yeah. Like
why are they? Yeah. Why can't the team just pay for it?
Just pay it. Yeah. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like the team, because that's
We'll just you're going to pay for it. Well, here we will pay you this much in your contract,
right?
And that's so that you can pay for
exactly. Yeah, which is how I'm sure it works out anyway. It's a really weird like loop. It's not even a loophole. It's just a weird thing in the contract.
When Chris's soccer team overpays for a player, the team is expected to pay all of it, not the player.
You happy with that, Chris?
I am.
Saw Man City lost Gunawan.
Oh man,
I see. I see. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. That was an unnecessary
soccer shot
there.
Yeah,
but it is
card,
true. No, it
right?
is true.
Is
Though,
that a red card or yellow card?
It's a yellow because I was right.
Yellow. Yeah, there's no falsehood.
I used the
there.
facts to dig in on Chris.
Yeah, that's a yellow. That's definitely a yellow. Writing his name down in the book. But
look, Chris,
one more. Two yellows
Kings
is a red.
fan, and I'm looking at all this, and I'm really excited about this year. But boy, they gotta hit on some of these moves. Hey, Sasha Vezinkov's coming over. How excited should I get about that? I mean, it's not bad news, obviously, but
yeah,
I know everyone's going crazy.
They
are
going crazy.
Hey, EuroLeague MVP
again.
Yeah,
this is one of those situations where if everybody's happy, I have to look around and say, wait, what exactly? Are we sure? Are we sure?
Oh no!
And it's fine. It is totally 100% fine to be excited about Sasha. You should be excited about Sasha. He's a 6'9" shooter. And will come in and have an impact, I think, from day one. And he's also going to be one of the oldest guys on the roster. So I'm hoping that he brings a certain level of professionalism over here as well. I assume he will. But, I think I have questions. I've heard some people wonder, like, could Sasha maybe get that starting spot over Harrison Barnes? I just think that's absolutely crazy. Like, again, maybe it'll happen in the middle of the season, but for that to be what the Kings plan to do going into the season, I think is just, it's crazy. Like, I don't think that you from what I've seen of Sasha, maybe again, the Kings I've seen a lot more of him. I just think that the Kings need to plan to bring in somebody else at that position.
There's just no way. Now, obviously they have an idea how they expect his game to translate, but they don't know. No. And so that's a possibility once he gets here. I think one of the keys to that, obviously defense, but rebounding.
Right.
Mike Brown, he had a quote after he went and saw him, and I think he said he really liked the way he went after the ball. Yeah.
Okay.
So if he can,
like how he rebounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How he went after the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Kings need that too, especially from somebody who's playing alongside Sabonis. Like,
so how many minutes is he going to play? Well, it depends. If he plays really well, he's going to play a lot of minutes
if he plays well. I think the problem is, they need somebody next to Sabonis who's going to rebound. Sabonis led the league in rebounds last year. And the Kings were one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. So that tells me that Sabonis was, and it was kind of similar in the Warrior series, like Sabonis was boxing out Looney. It was just nobody was getting the rebound. And so I think if the Kings could get somebody else in there next to Sabonis, that's kind of why that person who's playing next to him kind of has to be a very specific player or at least be able to do very specific things. I just think it's hard to find those guys. And I just don't think Sasha does enough of those other things that warrant him being the other forward next to Sabonis.
The rebounding question casts a shadow of doubt on two of my favorite guys. One of them being Bruce Brown from Rizzling73 on the YouTube chat. Bruce Brown is good, but the Kings don't need another 6'4" guard. He's not worth the contract for the Kings. Kings need a starting 4 or backup 5.
Well, he's not. He is 6'4", but he is not a guard.
He's not a guard.
He might even be listed as a guard, but he is not a guard. Nothing about the way he plays is a guard. I believe Bruce Brown came up as a point guard, but ever since he's been in the NBA, he has always kind of played a forward wing role, where he's a lot more around the paint and always just kind of doing a lot of dirty work.
To your point, Basketball Reference year by year position: shooting guard, point guard, in the last 2 years, small forward.
Yeah, and even then, I think I think he kind of plays more of a power forward role, if anything. He's just an undersized forward, in my opinion, but he's somebody who plays bigger than what he is, and he just does a lot of the dirty stuff. And we saw in that Denver series just a lot of small things and just a low maintenance kind of guy, much like Harrison Barnes, where he just doesn't need the ball in his hands to necessarily give his max value to the team. I think Bruce Brown would be a great signing here.
Cam Johnson, not a great rebounder, and I love Bruce Brown, but he's not a great rebounder either.
No, and that's definitely an issue, but I think Cam Johnson's also a really good defender. He brings good size. He's 6'9", can shoot the ball. I think Cam Johnson does enough other things, and I know here's the difference with what I'm saying about Sasha and what I'm saying about Cam Johnson. I know for a fact what Cam Johnson can do. I can't tell you exactly what Sasha can do right now. So I'm okay with Cam Johnson not being a great rebounder because I know he brings so many other things to the floor that, I can work around what he doesn't do.
Speaking of important off seasons, guess which NFL team just made a list of the teams of off-season losers? The 49ers?
What?
Do they belong on a list of off-season
No, I didn't
losers?
write this. I did not write this.
You had something to do with it?
I had nothing to do with this, I promise.
Next, we'll get to the bottom of this. Chris and company, Sactown Sports.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
We, as a team, have a ways to go. This is something that you want to be able to build off of.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave, and I recognize, just like my friends at American Energy Heat and Air, that your time is important. And that's why shopping for a new air conditioner is now easier with American Energy Heat and Air's online quoting tool. All you have to do is go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote right now. It'll help you determine what system you're going to need to get. It'll provide the best pricing options, all from the comfort of your home without having to have somebody come to your home. You know how annoying that is? They come in and everybody there is so sweet and nice, but how much better is it to be able to get it on demand? Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your needs are, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
We're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but it's been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento. And I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 74 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stanton, Sam Moore, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sale event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Y'all ready to do it again, Sacramento? Country in the Park 2 is coming to Heart Health Park at Cal Expo Saturday, September 9th with Cole Swindell, Chris Jansen, Dylan Scott, and more. Plus, a mechanical pool, line dancing saloon, and all the food. Tickets start at $40 or grab your Coors Light Y'all Access passes for $125. For more info, visit SactownSports.com. Country in the Park 2, brought to you by Attic Man Heating and Air Conditioning, E2 Family Winery, and Hyatt Vacation Club.
Being a letter carrier and walking 20,000 steps, which equals up to about 10 miles a day, it's tough. I really didn't have feet problems. I had back problems. I had had as many epidurals that I could possibly have in 1 year. That was scary. Well, I've been delivering letters to the Good Feet store for over 6 years, and the expert there finally convinced me to try their arch supports.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Keith actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
The people at the Good Feet store really educated me about what the arch supports could actually do. And lo and behold, I have no more back problems. The future I can see now. I couldn't see it before. Where I would be without them, I have no clue. I'm Keith, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
Listen to Oakland A's baseball on the weekends all season long right here on Sactown Sports, beginning with the pregame show brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
Keeping you company with the company. It's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
He's Chris Watkins, Kevin Michael, Whitey Gleason getting all set for NBA free agency. John Collins traded to Atlanta today, so some Kings fans are thinking, well, I guess we won't get he's traded from Atlanta to Utah. Some Kings fans thinking, oh, we won't get John Collins. Other Kings fans thinking, all right, how do we get him from Utah now?
You're right. I mean, that's absolutely still a possibility. I mean, Utah got him for just about nothing. Maybe if they want,
Rudy Gay and a future second rounder. I guess it has to be a future second rounder because the draft's over.
Because exactly. But you know, that it does not get lower value than a 37-year-old aging. I mean, I would not be surprised if Rudy Gay retires. Like I don't. That is literally getting just about nothing for him. You know, I don't think the Kings will be involved. I think if any team actually had interest in John Collins, they probably would have been able to match the Rudy Gay in a second round pick. So I think John Collins is probably staying in Utah, which, as we learned, is home for him. So it feels like a good landing spot for him.
And OG Anunoby, who has been rumored to maybe be a Kings target, a trade target with the Raptors, he has left Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, and he will soon choose a new agent as he enters the final season of his current deal with the Toronto Raptors.
I do not like that. That is not good news for the Sacramento Kings because you know, it's just kind of the way that the new NBA works. If you look, if you do enough research, you'll find a lot of common trends with teams. And it's really, you know, it's kind of crazy, but teams have really become agent driven where, you know, the Kings now have their star player, De'Aaron Fox, represented by Clutch. That means that it's just a fact of how these things work. Means the Kings are probably going to get a lot more Clutch guys that can come in because Rich Paul, you know, views De'Aaron Fox as one of his high-end clients, and it's good for his business or for his bigger client if he can get some of the supplemental pieces over to Sacramento and convince them that, you know, it would have been, you know, more convincing in the past, but now that the Kings are good, it's less. But you know, you got to convince them that Sacramento is a good option for you because look, I already have a guy here. He can show you around. He can make it easy for you. And the fact that he's leaving Clutch, to me, it's just not a good sign for the Kings. It's not the end all be all, absolutely, but it's just not.
I understand what you're saying.
Imagine having that conversation 10 years ago.
I know. It's crazy.
I don't
It's
disagree
really
with you, Chris, but I'm out on OG Anunoby. Totally out. Totally out.
On the player?
Just on his fit with the Kings, all things considered. He doesn't play enough. He gets hurt all the time. He potentially will be a free agent. It's going to take a lot to get him. So I'm just like, if I could just like, hey, there's OG Anunoby. You want to play for my team? Okay. Then I might do that.
Sure.
But all the other things considered, no.
Do you like the fit in Sacramento? Do you understand the fit in Sacramento?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You just don't like what it would take to bring him over. And that's kind
a
of
good
where
defender, but he's never played close to a full season.
Do you think he like how much of a calculus changer is he for if he comes to the Kings? Like, is that something that makes the Kings contenders at that point?
No.
Western Conference contenders?
Helps. I mean, it would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, be an upgrade when you have a guy who can, that he's going to take care of his business defensively when he's playing.
Yeah.
And for as long as he's here, which might only be 1 year.
1 year, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a whole other element of that move
and
as
it's
well.
a huge factor.
Yeah.
And bless him. And if he's changing agents, it sounds like he's thinking about testing the free agent market.
And,
bless him for that.
Yeah,
but,
getting tons of money.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk to you then, OG.
Maybe. Yeah, depending on how much money, because I think he's going to probably ask for a ton of money next year. I hear what you're saying, especially, as these conversations, again, come to a head is what are the Kings that would have to give up to get OG? It's just not worth to me what he would bring. I think, if you don't ship off Keegan and it's Herter and it's Davion and it's whatever, 2 first-round draft picks. That's just a lot to give up for a guy that we have questions on whether or not he makes the Kings a true contender. And, OG doesn't make a ton of money. I think it's 18 mil or something like that, but that's still eating into the cap a little. And I don't know. I don't think that he's necessarily somebody. I think he's a really good piece, but I don't know if he's the third star that we're necessarily looking for.
We'll get back to the NBA and the Draymond situation. Top of the hour here, but I wanted to ask you about this notion from NFL.com.
Talk about those losers.
Yeah, they have a list of NFL offseason winners and losers. The winners, for various reasons, the Jets, NFC North team, so good for you. The NFL and Amazon, quarterbacks, hotshot coordinators, the Texans, the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, the Ravens, Joe Burrow, NFC South teams. Okay. All right. And they have reasons for all that, but we don't need to go into.
We don't need to get into
losers in this offseason. NFL offseason losers.
Losers.
Aaron Rodgers. And we'll see about that.
He's a loser. He himself is a loser. Hate that guy.
Wait until he's the quarterback of the Vikings next season.
God, don't say that, Chris. Don't. I mean, it's the prophecy. It's what happens. You go from Packers to Jets to Vikings. We've seen it before.
You're going to need hallucinogenics.
I'm
to
going
get through
to need all of the mushrooms that are out there.
The Arizona Cardinals, NFL players, running backs, coaches of color. These are all offseason losers according to NFL.com.
Don't like that.
The Rams, the Raiders, the Bills, the Bucks, and the 49ers.
49ers is
off-season losers.
Why is that, Whitey? Why
I'll tell you exactly.
Lose? I mean, let me tell you, I agree. I definitely agree. I just want to hear. I just want to hear from somebody else.
You may want it to be true, but do you agree it's true?
I definitely don't believe it's true. Honestly, like that's insane.
They just had a remarkable season despite rampant quarterback injury drama, but the NFC runners-up now have a lot of questions at the most important position.
They have. That's been the case for the past couple of years.
Will Brock Purdy recover from off-season elbow surgery and recapture the magic that saw him go from Mr. Irrelevant to winner of 8 straight games, including 2 in the playoffs? Yeah, he looks like he's coming along pretty well.
Pretty well, week 1.
Is Trey Lance or Sam Darnold a starter if Purdy isn't ready by week 1? Wouldn't worry about it. It's probably going to be Purdy at some point there. Yeah.
I mean, but either way, that's a pretty good backup option.
The Niners also lost Ryans, their talented defensive coordinator, who lured a few standout players with him to Houston.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is also true. But it seems like they're really happy with Steve Wilkes. And, at the end of the day, I guess we'll see. But I think talent is really the more important thing. And on the defensive end, with the Niners bringing in Javon Hargrave, it's a pretty big improvement.
I don't know about you, but I know when Robert Saleh left, I was one of those people thinking, oh, boy.
Look,
boy, he was really good.
I'm not past that. Not necessarily for Saleh, but I just think in general, it's a tough exercise to continue to try and replace these great coordinators.
D'Amico Ryans did a great job. The upside here to Steve Wilkes is his expertise really is in the secondary, and the hope is that he's really going to emphasize playmaking in the secondary.
Yeah, and that's where they're going to use some help.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, their front line is great. The linebackers are great. Fred Warner's one of the best in the NFL, but their corners are really their weakest position. And if Steve Wilkes can get improvement there, I mean that's one of the best, if not the best, defense in the league that we saw last year. If they can roll that over to a top continue, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for. I've heard some people just chalking the Niners in again as the best defense in the NFL. I think it's going to be really hard for them to replicate that, but I'd be shocked if they fall out of the top 5 for sure.
This is just that same old story. Oh, the quarterback situation. They don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
Nick Mullins was just at George Kittle's tight end camp over the weekend.
Shout out Vikings.
Did the same procedure. He says, I'm feeling great. So I don't think the 49ers really have anything to worry about.
I don't think so either. And even if they do, even if you want to say the Brock Purdy situation is not as good as they're leading on, they are perfectly like Sam Darnold and Trey Lance are about as good of backup options as you can have in the NFL right now. Either one of those guys, I think, is very capable of running this Shanahan offense for at least a couple weeks and keeping the ship afloat.
So off-season losers, 49ers, don't insult our intelligence. Whoever wrote that article.
Whoever that is.
Yeah. Up next, looks like Dre will stay, but have you heard who really wanted him besides the Kings? Interesting. It's next. Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kip Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kip Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Hey, it's Nick Cattle suggesting you celebrate your 4th of July the right way with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Our Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned us into pros. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. Built different, built better, and built to last. All made with premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Just go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories. Now is the time to take care of your 4th of July.
Prestige line comes with a lifetime warranty.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
No look, Bibby to Weber, down the lane, flying jam. There's your play of the night right there. It's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Relotta with your Sactown Sports headlines. Number 1 pick in San Antonio Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama has announced that he will not play for France in this year's FIBA World Cup. Will prepare for his rookie season with the Spurs in next year's Paris Olympics. Wembanyama does plan on playing for the Spurs in the Summer League. Spurs are also one of the teams in the California Classic, which tips off on July 3rd here in Sacramento. Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Vezenkov over the weekend. The Kings have had the rights to Vezenkov since June of 2022, and the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings Insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and Company with Whitey and Watkins.
Well, this is unfortunate in my opinion. You see the Portland Trailblazers G League team has a new name?
I did not. I saw the other day for the first time that they were actually getting a G League team. I know that they were the only team, I think, in the NBA without an actual G League affiliate. So I was just like, good on you guys to finally actually get one.
Yeah, I didn't actually say that clear. It's not just a new name for the team. It's a new team. The new G League franchise.
Can I guess? Does it have anything to do with like Portland, or is where are they playing?
What city is it again?
Well, it's Rip City. It's Rip City something.
Okay.
Rip City. Rip City, of course, is Portland, and
Right.
Jim Barnett once made a basket, and the announcer, Bill Schoening or whoever, said, Rip City! And so
Was it
that's-
really Jim Barnett?
Yeah, he was the one
Wow,
that made
what
the
a small
shot.
world.
Yeah.
Rip City Rippers.
Rip City Waltons.
Hey, I love it.
The Rip City remix.
Mm.
And the logo is
That's
pretty
not good.
much it's very similar to the Blazers logo, that
The Rips.
weird thing, which is supposed to actually represent like the game of basketball. Rip City remix.
That's terrible. That's really horrible.
That's what I thought.
Are they remixing a Damian Lillard song?
I don't know.
So I'm looking at the logo, and it's almost like,
It's kind of retro.
yeah, I would say like 70s, 80s, kind of like
Yeah.
a Soul Train vibe to it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like this would be like if you were trying to make like just a knockoff version of like, I don't know. Yeah, this is terrible. Like if I owned a record store or something in Portland,
Perfect. That
this
would
is
be
exactly what it
perfection.
would be. This is like exactly what it
It's
would be.
just off enough where you wouldn't get sued by the team.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. That is perfect. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like someone was like, I'm trying to like get you there without like directly being like, we are Portland Trailblazers.
Without breaking any copyright and
Exactly.
federal trademark restrictions.
Exactly. Except for they could if they wanted to, because this is owned by the Blazers.
Yeah.
So
A bad
Not a
basketball
great
movie
logo.
that was supposed to be about the NBA, but isn't really about the NBA, would have the Rip
Yes.
City remix.
Yes, absolutely. 1000%.
Jerry
would have-
Maguire, too.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire too. He would play for the Rip City remix. Maybe in Hustle 2, he can play for the Rip City remix. It's like a fine looking logo. I don't really have any issue with like the look of it. It just doesn't really look like a basketball team.
I mean, the thing now that I think about it is you don't want your G League team or name to be better than your NBA team and name, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a fine line that you have to walk.
Right. And Blazers are a pretty bad name.
Yeah.
Trailblazers are not great.
I have a shirt Mark Kreidler gave me once, and I think they're still in the G League, or maybe it was a CBA team, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants.
Oh yeah. No, they're
Yeah.
still a team.
Yeah.
I think they're the Pacers affiliate.
Yeah.
The Mad
Indiana.
Ants. There's a couple really bad names. I know like in AAA baseball, there's like the Trash Pandas as well. That's what I would go for. I would just go complete like River Cats. Like what the hell is a River Cat? Like I would just go all the way out there if I could rename. Like even the Kings former, the Reno Bighorns, wasn't a great name, but I respect the fact that it was just out there.
Yeah. Also on Twitter, Frankie says, after being linked to John Collins for the past 2 years, Sacramento passed up an opportunity to trade nothing for John Collins. What does this mean? What is Money McNair planning to do with this new cap space? Check out Frankie's Kings coverage, SactownSports.com. What does it mean? I think for one thing, it means that the Kings realize John Collins just isn't that good anymore.
That's the first thing that it tells me, is that any reported interest that the Kings had is just, it wasn't there. Because if the Kings at all felt like John Collins was going to contribute to winning, they could have offered better than what was thrown out Rudy Gay in a second round pick. Like they could have done a Rashawn deal or anything like that. And to me, I think it ended up coming down to Atlanta also kind of realizing that instead of just getting somebody's unwanted goods, you might as well just kind of get the cap relief and call it a day at the end of it.
I know Friday there was a lot of talk about Draymond Green and the Kings. Whoa!
Oh, gosh.
Nothing's done yet, but according to NBC Sports Bay Area and Warriors reporter Bonnie Poole, Draymond Green and the Warriors reportedly, which by the way isn't really a word, but reportedly are getting closer to a deal. It seems likely Green will be returning to the Warriors. Let's see here. Mark Stein says, I continue to hear nothing but strong confidence emanating from the Bay that an agreement on a multi-year for Green to stay right where he's always been is forthcoming.
So that was my next question was, is it going to be off of him just accepting the player option for this year for $27 million, or are they going to try and work out something long-term? That is very interesting to me because I feel like the Warriors, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, to me, I think the best path for them is just kind of do a last dance kind of season and have Draymond come back for just next year. You have Clay's contract expiring, Steve's contract expiring at the end of next year. I don't know if the move for Golden State is to try and hold on to all of that for as long as possible.
Do you know who Jason Dumas is?
Yes.
Okay, Jason Dumas, and I've done shows with him, and I did a show with him, and then I saw him on NBA TV, and I texted him like, "Dude, NBA TV," and he didn't answer me.
Big time.
And then a month later, I was with him again, and I said, "You didn't answer me," and he texted me back then, like, "Oh, thanks." So anyway, Jason.
You got real big time there.
Yes!
That's like big time.
Yes!
Big time.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Jason
Might as well
Dumas,
just not respond at that point.
June 19th, he reported that Draymond was looking for a 3-year deal to match Steph Curry's current deal.
Interesting. Well, I know, those two have a really good relationship, and I think Draymond, as we've talked about, has a great level of self-understanding, and I think he knows that he's best as the Steph Curry complementary piece, and just those two, the kind of knowledge that they have just playing with each other for so long.
Yeah.
They're both of them are not going to ever get that sort of relationship with anybody anywhere else ever again.
Draymond's not a dummy.
No,
I mean, he makes
dumb decisions sometimes.
Yeah,
yeah,
but he's not a dummy, and he realizes that guy's one of the greatest players ever.
Knows where his bread is buttered.
He can tell this franchise whatever they should do, and they're going to do it. And he likes me on the team.
Yeah. No, I think there's
and
an
he
element.
makes me better, and I make him better. So why don't I hitch my wagon to him?
Yeah, and to build on that, just like you're saying, like there is an element of Golden State. No one else is going to put up with Draymond as much as Golden State is. Like they know who he is, they understand him, and they've been dealing with it for his whole career.
It's night and day from basically a year ago, way before even the punch. They were ready. It looked like, wow, they've got some real issues with the cap. Draymond's got his option coming up, and it looked like, wow, the Warriors really want to get out from under Draymond, even after they'd won the championship.
Right.
And now a year later, it's like,
we can't. Yeah.
And then they're saying, I take them at their word, we need Draymond to win.
Do you feel
they
like
weren't saying that a year ago?
I was gonna say, so that makes me think, do you think Golden State is currently, like the Warriors side of this, is actually negotiating from a position of weakness instead of strength?
Yeah, I think
because to me that sounds a lot more like, oh my God, we thought we were, after winning the championship, we kind of thought people were expendable. We felt like, whatever. Yeah, Draymond's getting older. It's going to be hard to replace him, but we can still do it.
Yep.
Whereas now it kind of seems like they're looking at it like the ship is kind of sinking, or there's some holes that are popping up and water spouting everywhere. Let's try and seal those holes and just try and keep this thing looking like how it's been in the past. Like,
no question.
That's really interesting to me.
A year ago, they probably would have told you, if they were being totally forthright, we're thinking at some point Kuminga can become
right.
He can do what Draymond does.
Exactly.
And
it's just,
a year ago, the plan was also, Wiseman's also going to take a major role. And now it's like,
Moody,
all right, that's not going to work. Draymond, please stay. And we're going to just ride this out with this core for as long as we can.
And that's, as somebody who doesn't root for the Warriors, I'm all for it. I think that this is not their best path to success in the future. I think that this is I think that Golden State really needs to look at this objectively and not look at it from having, the lens of, we've had these guys and we're trying to keep the core together. I think if you realistically, much like the Portland situation, if you just look at it from afar, it's really obvious what the best decision should be, but it seems like they're going to go with the emotional decision over it. And I think that that's going to be the death of them.
I think that they see Steph, and I know you're excited about the new documentary.
I'm thrilled. Can't wait to not watch that.
And they see if Steph is close to the top of his game, and he's still there now. That gives you a chance to win a championship. So then put the pieces around him to give you your best chance of doing that, competing for another one. And then when he's done, all right, then we'll have to rethink.
Then you're done anyway, right?
Yeah.
I see that, and I hear that. I just don't know if putting guys like Draymond is the best possible scenario to even win now. I think that there's better options out there.
Draymond last week seemed to be hinting, because I think it was a response to a tweet from Stephen A or something, but Draymond seemed to hint that he's hoping to earn in his next contract around $100 million. So I think I think there's a chance we're still going to hear some involvement with the Kings, but I don't think it'll be the Kings driving that.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to seriously want to come to the Kings.
$100 million.
Yes.
That's way too much money for Draymond Green. And even Chris Watkins, the Draymond Green shouting from the rooftop should play in Sacramento, would acknowledge that that would just be an absurd amount of money to pay a guy who is on the back nine of his career. And you're just frankly not sure what Draymond Green could realistically not be playable in a year and a half. And I would not be shocked, but and that's why I'm comfortable maybe giving him a 2, maybe 3-year contract, but I'm not going to pay him $30 million a year.
Coming up next, are we sure the Kings like Kyle Kuzma? We'll take a hard look at that next. Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
The King season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
Guys on other teams, when they look at the Sacramento Kings, they feel that this is a fun brand of basketball to play.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Did you know that money market accounts offer higher dividends than a traditional savings account, all while still being able to access your money at any time? Hey, Jason Ross here, and I want to tell you to step up your earning power with a Level Up money market savings account at Safe Credit Union. With competitive dividend rates, you can take your savings to the next level. Visit safecu.org/levelup for more information and to open up an account today. Insured by NCUA.
Live and local, it's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
What's going on here? I take a glance at the YouTube chat and I see Andre Drummond's name. What? We're better than that. Are we, Chris
I would
Watkins?
hope so. I
Andre
would definitely
Drummond?
hope so. I mean, Drummond, okay, sure, but that's like the last guy. That's like an Alex Len replacement would be Andre Drummond. There should be no reason why this early in free agency we're talking about Andre Drummond right now. Fine player, fine third center,
Peach of a fella.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on Andre Drummond. I remember there was a point, you could probably actually find it now. I remember Bleacher Report had this like looking 10 years into the future and guessing the top 10 NBA players in 15 years or something like that. And they looked 10 years into the future. Andre Drummond was like top 3 in the NBA was their projection.
We used to put up monster rebound numbers.
An absolute monster in Detroit. And I think, one of those guys where he really affected the NBA becoming what it is now, where it's spacing, it's shooting. And, if you're a center in the league, you have to be you can't just be a rim, around the rim guy. And Andre Drummond was kind of your dying breed. And he was like a dinosaur in terms of
Al Jefferson?
Al Jefferson, very much the same.
Little baby
loved Al Jefferson.
Yeah.
Just so solid.
Yeah.
I mean, just part of that
game just kind of passed them by.
Yeah. There was guys where it was that mold. And then you saw DeMarcus Cousins was kind of like the usher of, like that's how things used to happen. And now we're shooting Brook Lopez, very similar kind of career arc where it's like, this might have been how things were done when you came in the league, but if you want to stay in the league, you're going to have to develop a shot. And now we're to the point where Andre Drummond is not even being discussed.
Not a bad backup.
Not a great backup though. I think if Andre Drummond's the Kings backup center and like their true backup center, like playing 80 games a season, I don't love that. Like I prefer him a lot more as, again, kind of like that Alex Len. Maybe he can play 30, 40 games in a season and he puts up numbers, really prolific, but just, not really a guy that you can give 20 plus minutes to, I think.
By the way, I know we haven't done our team building exercise in a while, draft days.
Yes.
I don't know what just made me think of it now. Maybe talk about the draft or whatever.
Sure.
I am thinking of challenging you to a draft days with players whose last names are at least 10 letters long.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I haven't issued the challenge yet.
I have an idea.
This is
of
gonna
who
be
I
bad
wanna
for
go
me
number
because I
one.
mean 1, 2, 3.
Gosh, I know.
Even a rattlesnake warns before it strikes. So I'm just giving you a heads up that that's
Do hyphenations count?
Ooh,
I think they would have to.
That's
wouldn't they?
big. Yeah, that would definitely help.
Yeah,
That would
maybe
definitely help.
the hook shot. Talk about the hook shots.
Hey, there you go. Okay. So you could have snuck one by me there. I would not have thought that. Yeah, I would not have thought that.
I did a little bit of research on your Fort Wayne Mad Ants.
Yeah.
ANTZ, right?
They are ANTS.
Oh, okay.
They started in 2007 as a G League, but then they were bought by the Pacers in 2015.
Nice.
And the Pacers have now moved them to Indianapolis. They're still called the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. They're playing in Indianapolis, and they're planning a new arena in an Indianapolis suburb.
Wow.
So it looks like the Fort Wayne Mad Ants won't be Fort Wayne much longer.
Let me tell you something.
Call it the Anthill.
Next time, whenever they play the Rip City remix, the Mad Ants will destroy them. It will devour them.
Oh, yeah.
Also, fun fact, Fort Wayne is where the basketball shot clock was invented.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
There was no shot clock before then.
Oh, because they used to have an NBA team. The Pistons, I think, used to be in.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was like, what? They were just in a gym and they were like counting.
That's the first game they tried it, right? Yeah. First time they tried it was a game in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Right?
A game in Fort Wayne. That's the title of a movie right there.
There you go.
It's
a movie about the
shot clock.
No one's going to go see it, but hey, we'll make it.
Oh, that's like a total 30 for 30 in 5 years.
Yeah. Or like, because in a way, Semi-Pro, the Will Smith or Will Ferrell movie is kind of about, if you kind of squint your eyes a little, it's kind of about the invention of the alley-oop. So maybe they can do that with invention of the shot clock.
And it is definitely my favorite basketball movie.
Semi-Pro?
Yeah. And the high flyer, Henry Turner, he said it's the most realistic basketball movie. Yeah.
Really? Semi-pro?
He said it's the most realistic. He said when he played in the CBA, that is a lot of what it was like.
Like owner/players wrestling at halftime.
The high flyer is a huge semi-pro fan.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. I love that.
Is Monty McNair truly a huge fan of Kyle Kuzma's? A lot of people look at this free agency situation and say, well, Kuzma's out there. He opted out. We know the Kings love Kyle Kuzma because they tried to trade for him at least once. What happened, though, was I think 2020, the Lakers actually came to the Kings about a Kuzma deal.
Yeah.
They wanted a bogey, and the Kings are like, no. But then when the Kings are trying to trade Buddy Hield, they thought they had something in place. And Kyle Kuzma has talked about this on a podcast. He said, that ass was done. I was going. But then apparently LeBron convinced the Lakers, no, we got to get Russell Westbrook. And so they backed out of the deal that would have brought Kuzma here. But I'm not sure that Kuz is a real Monty McNair guy. At that point, it came down to, well, who is interested in Buddy Hield and what can we get from a team that wants Buddy Hield, right? It's a little different than a free agency situation.
Right.
And I think Kyle Kuzma has become, since then, a higher scorer, but a less efficient player.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure he's a money guy now.
No, when the Kings were looking to acquire Kuzma, they were definitely looking for that upswing kind of guy. And Kuzma at the time, like you're saying, was more of a role player for the Lakers and wasn't necessarily as prominently featured. I think the plan would have been to feature him a little bit more in this offense, but you look at his jump from the Lakers to Washington just in terms of shot attempts. He was at 11.1 his final season in LA, jumped up to 14.2 and then 17.8 last season.
He made it clear he doesn't want to be a role player, and that's his right.
That's totally fine, but I think the guy that the Kings need right now is going to have to understand that they're the third option behind Sabonis and behind De'Aaron Fox. And, we just haven't seen Kyle Kuzma really flourish in that kind of role. Even when he was taking 11 shots per game, he was averaging 13 points. So that's not efficient. That's not where you want to be. And in that kind of role where, you're maybe the third guy, maybe the fourth guy, maybe the fifth guy on a given night, you need to be able to maximize your possessions and especially your shot attempts because they're going to get spread out. Like you're not going to be able to monopolize the shot attempts on this Kings team.
He was asked a few years ago whether he sees himself as a player capable of averaging 25 a game and becoming an all-star. And, bless him for his confidence. He said, I definitely can. I definitely believe that too. I don't really care what nobody thinks or says. I know myself. I know my ability. It's hard to be consistent in an inconsistent role. I'm excited for a more consistent space next year.
Well,
which again, and this was a couple of years ago he said that. And again, great, good for him, but I don't see that as a fit here. He apparently once said he would rather be talked about bad in LA than play in Orlando and not get talked about. So I don't see him.
That tells you. Just put that quote.
He's a good fit here.
That's the quote. That's the only quote that you need to tell. That should let everyone know that is just not the guy that the Kings need to bring in.
I don't think it is. Nothing against him.
No.
He has every right to be the player he wants to be.
That's
totally
not a good
fine.
fit. No, absolutely. And it's he also to counter what he said of being a 25-point per game scorer if he had the opportunity.
He tried last year.
He had the opportunity last year. He took 17 shots, 18 shots pretty much per game. Still only scored 21.2 points. He's just not that guy. And like it's totally fine. And again, if he wants to go be that guy, there's probably 10 teams in the NBA who will be like, yeah, sure, we don't care what you do. Orlando is one of them probably who would be like, we don't care. Yeah, please come here and score as much as you want. But here in Sacramento, it's just that would not be conducive to the Kings being their best product. I think they need a guy who's going to fit the role.
And he's not as good defensively as I thought he was.
No, he's not at all. He really just kind of brings length. He brings tools, but defense, and it's a cliche, it's mostly about effort. And Kyle Kuzma has been a guy who's shown a lot more, especially in the past couple of years, effort on the offensive end than on the defensive end. There really hasn't been much there.
Pardon me, but you know that he's now, as you said, positionless basketball. These things don't mean as much as they used to be, these labels, but he's basically a power forward. Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, but he doesn't play with that kind of physicality.
There's a lot of rebounds, but somebody had to grab the rebound.
He's a good rebounder. And that's kind of it, is somebody had to get those rebounds, and they were definitely open for him, but I don't know if I would, classify him as a great rebounder.
He seems to be interested in doing a lot more than the Kings would want him to do.
Yes.
Therefore, I don't think he's a good fit, and I'm not so sure the Kings are crazy for this edition of Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, that's where the breadcrumbs lead.
That's where I fall too. And as he's entering his age 28 season, like this is the prime of his career, and something tells me Kyle Kuzma, just off of the quotes you just gave, doesn't want to spend the prime of his career being a role player or a glorified role player at that. I think Kyle Kuzma wants to at least try and show that he can be the guy that he thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. And like you said, it's fine. Like everyone's entitled to be the player they want to be. Carmelo Anthony probably could have had a ring if he would have taken a back seat and not been such a dominant or, a dominant scorer. But, he was going to be the guy who he is, and that's totally fine. And we love Melo for it. And Kyle Kuzma is going to try and be a scorer, but I don't know if that's the best role if he wants to be a winner in this league.
12 Mulatu on the YouTube chat says Kuzma can create a shot and rebound.
Yes.
He just doesn't make enough shots.
He doesn't make enough.
That's the problem.
And it's not even, and it's also from three. Like there's no numbers out there that state that he would be efficient in a role or anything like all of his numbers are very inefficient and are really just based on high usage percentages as well. And he's just not going to hold the ball.
Yeah, we know that Monty learned everything or a lot of what he knows from Daryl Morey, and that's all based in analytics and efficiency.
Yes, that's a huge part of it.
It just is.
He's not the advanced analytics are not going to suggest that Kyle Kuzma is a plus player, and especially not in a role capacity. Like this has just never been a guy that has shown since being a young player in this league to really fit into a mold. And even when he was on the Lakers, like you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis as the clear hierarchy. Here in Sacramento, sure, De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis just had great seasons, but again, with the guy who has the quotes that Kyle Kuzma has, something tells me he could convince himself of saying, maybe I'm the second option. Domas is a good passer, but I'm a much better scorer, anything like that. I just don't think mentality-wise, too, I just don't think it's a fit.
Well, there are a lot of questions swirling around the Kings and the whole NBA here. Brendan Nunes from the Kings Herald will help us make sense of all of it when he joins us next on Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
Catch the Oakland A's every weekend on Sactown Sports. Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Thinking that's going to get down for a hit. Around third to score is Tony Kemp. And the A's have taken the lead. Edge of the track, makes the catch. And the Athletics get a great win.
Sactown Sports, your weekend home for the Oakland A's.
Sactown Sports coverage of the Oakland A's is brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
At Elk Grove Honda, we see every Honda buyer as a member of the family, so we make sure every certified pre-owned Honda is one we would buy from ourselves. At Elk Grove Honda, we include many benefits that a private seller just can't match. Our Honda-trained technicians only certify our Hondas if they pass a thorough 182-point inspection, and our certified pre-owned Hondas are under 5 years old. So you know you're getting the newest Hondas in prime condition. See our exceptional selection of certified pre-owned Hondas in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or online at elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street. Right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please, gamble responsibly, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Attention contractors and DIY enthusiasts. Don't miss the ultimate DeWalt sale event at Fasteners Tool Outlet in Sacramento next Saturday, July 8th. Unbeatable prices on DeWalt power tools and one-day-only deals with free batteries and tools. Grab a 4-piece brushless combo kit for $299 and save up to 50% on select hand tools and accessories. Again, that's July 8th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 6701 Power Inn Road. For more info, visit fastenersinc.net.
At Ashton and Price, over the last 25 years, we've won just about every injury case you can think of. Slip and fall, falling merchandise, fell through rotted decking, we won those. Dangerous stairs, falls into holes, dog bites, won them. Injured while pedestrian or on a bicycle, auto, motorcycle, big rig, company vehicle, Uber, or Lyft accident, we've won them all. And the best news is there's no fee until you win. So no matter how you got injured,
remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Y'all ready to do it again, Sacramento? Country in the Park 2 is coming to Heart Health Park at Cal Expo Saturday, September 9th. With Cole Swindell, Chris Jansen, Dylan Scott, and more. Plus, a mechanical pool, line dancing saloon, and all the food. Tickets start at $40 or grab your Coors Light Y'all Access passes for $125. For more info, visit SactownSports.com. Country in the Park 2, brought to you by Attic Man Heating and Air Conditioning, E2 Family Winery, and Hyatt Vacation Club.
Pain is not normal. Repeat, pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet Store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday, and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free, no obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
Listen to Oakland A's baseball on the weekends all season long right here on Sactown Sports, beginning with the pregame show brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Verlotta with your Sactown Sports headlines. The Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Vezenkov over the weekend. The Kings have had the rights to Vezenkov since June of 2022. The Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Hawks are finalizing a trade to send John Collins to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick. Rudy Gay has exercised his $6.4 million option for the season for the trade to go through. Those are your headlines. Next up is Brenden Nunes of the Kings Herald joining Chris and Company with Whitey and Watkins.
Absolutely. It's hard not to get emotional and excited about free agency and what the Kings may do. So we need, Chris, in my opinion, we need a calm, cool voice of reason.
Yes.
To help us, to settle us down, help us understand how this all really works.
Yes. As you know, I get way too worked up over these things. So we need somebody who knows what
who have you found for us?
Well, I always send the bad signal out to my guy, Brendan Nunes. Whenever I need anything rational, whenever I need to know if I'm tripping or if maybe I'm right on something and everybody else is wrong. Brendan's usually my North Star in terms of figuring out if I'm crazy or not.
From the Kings Herald, Brenden Nunes. Brendan, thank you for your time. Can we start by asking you what you make of the news that John Collins looks like he's on his way to Utah for virtually nothing? A lot of Kings fans are wondering why the Kings didn't make a move to get John Collins if it wasn't going to cost anything.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Chris and Whitey. I don't know about being a voice of reason, but I feel like it's usually pretty easy to tell that Chris is wrong, so I never mind telling him that one.
Wow. Shots fired.
Come on.
Chris knows I appreciate him, and he does good work. I mean, it's definitely surprising, the John Collins to Utah deal. I think, obviously the evaluation and value that Atlanta got back was pretty underwhelming. It's pretty much just a salary dump when you're getting Rudy Gay, who, maybe can give you some minutes here and there, I guess. But you're certainly not a guy that you want to rely on when it comes to postseason rotation or that's changing anything. And then a second-round pick. It's definitely just getting off money, and they've been in a tough salary spot and don't even have the high level record to really show for it. And then I think another intriguing aspect is looking at it from the other end, where Utah has a lot of bigs they're working with now, with Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen. They just drafted Taylor Hendricks, who is somebody that I'm really high on. But Lauri Markkanen might find himself in another spot where he's asked to get played small forward.
Oh my goodness. That would be crazy. I mean, that would be a massive front line with those three. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing over there in Utah. I'm curious, Brendan, because you and I talk a lot, especially leading up into that draft.
By the way, he just said you're always wrong. Are you going to respond to that? Or
no, I mean, he doesn't know what he's saying.
Okay.
I know I was hyping him up before, but
yeah. I should stay out of it. I just couldn't help but notice.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I feel like I have a better track record than Brendan.
Okay,
like I said, I just like to use him as a soundboard just to make sure I'm not crazy.
Sure.
We'll fact check that later.
Okay. Let's not. I just know that you weren't massive on Kobe Jones, but you were a big fan of him coming into this draft. What do you think about the Kings using getting him at 34 and obviously having to move up to get him? But what do you think about Kobe Jones's addition to this team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously somebody that they liked if they were willing to move up from 38 to 34. I kind of think of him as a Dante DiVincenzo, who was a little bit polarizing at his time, and obviously nobody's going to be exactly identical to somebody else, but just as a guy that does a little bit of everything. I think that he's somebody that can finish plays at all three levels. The three-point shot is really encouraging that we saw this year at 37.8%, his junior year at Xavier. That's 43% on catch and shoot, but you go back like sophomore year, 32%, freshman year, 34%. So I think the 3-point shot there's reason for optimism, but it's worth noting that in years prior, and the free throw percentage isn't great either, but that in years prior, there were some question marks there. But if that 3-point shot goes down at the level it did this year, I think there's a 3-level finisher, a guy that can shoot the 3 ball. He's got a great floater. His touch around the rim is really impressive. And just all those connecting pieces that makes me think of that Dante DiVincenzo, a good playmaker who can play on or off the ball, a rebounder on both sides, a guy who, 6'4.5" without shoes. So say about 6'6" we're talking about here with shoes on, but a 6'8" wingspan, willing to be physical and has some versatility where, Monty McNair after the draft, when I got to ask him about Kobe a little, is saying, I think he's versatile. He probably can't switch on to 5s, but he's pretty versatile, which in my mind, if he's saying he can't switch on to 5s, that means he thinks he can switch on to 1 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And 4s might be a little bit kind, but I think that 1 to 3 is reasonable here, and a guy that just, can play both on and off the ball on both sides of the floor.
Brenden Nunes from the Kings Herald with us, and I have a 2-parter for you, Brendan. I apologize. But 1, what can you tell us about where the Kings are with Sasha? 2, and more importantly, I think Colby Jones and Slauson are flying in today. What's the one thing you would tell them at the airport? Hey, you make sure you go see this. Make sure you don't miss this at Sacramento International Airport. Would it be the rabbit, or which way are you going there?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think the Rabbit's like a great site, but it is just part of the city. Like, you have to experience it, and you have to just look at it once and wonder to yourself why it exists.
Yeah.
So I do think that it is an important part of their introduction to Sacramento, and especially the airport. So
Well said.
It's somehow part of the experience. And I got lost in the Rabbit. What was the first?
Sasha. I'm sorry. Yeah. Where are we with Sasha as far as you know?
Yes. I don't have any like new information on it, but obviously they're extremely big on Sasha and what he can provide. And he has to factor into some of this financial situation that we're talking about in the offseason and cap space here. But my understanding is his Olympiacos offer was somewhere around $2 million a year. And you do have to factor in California taxes coming out and all in this as well. I saw somebody had said that, he needs to net more than what that deal would be. And I don't know exactly that that's 100% true, but I think there's logic there that makes sense to me. And I think he's a guy that, you're pulling him away from being a star on what might have been the best non-NBA team in the world. So it will take a good offer for him to come over in a decent role. I think he fits extremely well. Another guy that just finishes plays. I mean, Colby Jones is at a lesser level. Sasha finishes plays at an extremely high level from all three levels of the floor. So obviously Sacramento really highly values him. It's just going to be about what is the number they're willing to pay, because you got to talk him out of leaving a pretty good situation.
How about you ask Real Madrid about Olympiacos being the best non-NBA team outside?
Big Real Madrid fan, huh?
Yeah, huge. The one thing that me and Brendan actually don't agree on, and we'll see who's more right on things, is Brendan doesn't necessarily, I'll let Brendan speak for himself, but Brendan is a little bit higher on Sasha's potential fit here in Sacramento than I am. Brendan, I'm just curious, where are you? Are you still on that? Do you still believe that Sasha is somebody who can really impact things in a major way next season for Sacramento?
I think notably, and eventually you'll understand, Chris. Time.
I'll come around to it.
No, but I just see a lot of, Bielitsa type of impact. And not just that these guys are both EuroLeague MVPs, so that's an easy parallel to make, but I think in a way where it's a guy that, again, can finish plays at all three levels, and you don't really need creators in Sacramento's offense, right? It's extremely free-flowing. So if he finds a decent look from three, he's going to absolutely knock it down. And if defenses take that shot away, then that just opens up more space for Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and some of these other guys. If they close out hard, I think that he can attack and finish around the basket really well, good cuts. It's just going to be about surviving defensively, right? Which I think is a big question, a very big question. But there's aspects, you can ask yourself, if he has less offensive responsibility, can he be a little bit better than what we saw defensively? And I think that he had his moments being fine on that end. So yeah, I think there's going to be nights where offensively he can close games for you just because he is scoring the crap out of the ball that day. And I think he's that caliber of scorer, and Sacramento has the right guys to set him up. So you'll come around eventually, Chris.
I have to admit, I too have been a little bit of a Sasha skeptic because it's just kind of my nature. But that said, given, the small sample size of what I've seen of him, I mean, he can shoot and he plays off the ball so well that I agree with you, Brendan. It's you can see how he's easily going to fit into this offense. But as far as free agents now, what's your best guess of who, with this cap space, Monty McNair will actually target?
I mean, Kyle Kuzma feels like an easy answer here. A guy that, he is known to have tried to trade for before. I think Kuzma very much thought he was coming to Sacramento in that Buddy Hield deal and vice versa. But that's a guy that I think makes a lot of sense. I think that it's easy to forget that he was just a starter on a team that won a championship. And obviously LeBron and AD were the guys really carrying that team, but Kuzma played a pretty big role, and everybody knows what he can do offensively. I think he's really grown on that end in Washington, but he was a decent defender during that run that LA made to the finals, and that kind of got pointed out to me. And that's made me a little bit more optimistic about the idea of Kuzma, of course, all depending on what the number is there. But I think there's other intriguing options out there. Like Brook Lopez is a guy that I would consider. I think I know you and your Lopez fans, right? I forgot about that. But no, I think that it's one of those, I feel like I say this all the time, but I'm very strong believer of don't get so caught up in cleaning up your weaknesses that you lose out on your strengths. Mm-hmm. And Brook Lopez is like walking that fine line there for me, where I don't really know which side I'm on. I think that he would help you tremendously on the defensive end, the rim protection you need, and he spaces the floor on offense. But I think there's just some connecting aspects that you might have to change your style a little bit more than you want to, where I don't know that you can still have that same super free-flowing offense with Lopez not being the quickest decision maker, or at least having the same foot movement on cuts and off-ball, sort of pace in the half court that they talked about a lot, and even in the full court. And then defensively, Brook Lopez protecting the rim makes a lot of sense. But then does that mean Sabonis is then asked to guard fours in closing lineups, which I think is a tough scenario. I don't mind the idea of Jeremy Grant. And then there's smaller options, like a Grant Williams is somebody that intrigues me a little bit if you're going for a little bit of a cheaper option. So there's a lot of names out there, but only a few at the top, right?
Yeah, of course, I don't need to tell you if you're a Kings fan, great Kings coverage available from the Kings Herald. Of course, they got Jerry Reynolds on a podcast, and they got our guest, Brendan Nunes. Brendan, thank you so much. We appreciate your time very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good answer.
Do better next time.
Good answer on the rabbit at the airport. Yeah, good job. He's right.
He's right. Yeah, no, the rabbit is part.
What about the luggage?
The luggage thing,
sculpture.
Yeah, it looks like Harry Potter almost. It's. We got to do something about the international airport. It's a little strange. We should move the Piglet statue over there too. It's just.
We're moving that anywhere.
We just don't need it there.
Yeah. Coming up next here, we'll look at this Brook Lopez to the Kings thing, because I'm having a hard time figuring it out.
Let's do it.
Talk me into it, would you? Also, my issue with Jeremy Grant, that more coming up next. Chris and company, it's Watkins and Whitey. Sactown Sports!
Get all the latest 49ers news heading into the 2023 season on Sactown Sports.
I think Brock was smart, and we kind of facilitated that he met with a bunch of different surgeons. The hope is he's ready for the regular season. We'll take it as it comes, as we're doing. He's working incredibly hard, and the early returns are really good.
Sactown Sports, Sacramento's official home for 49ers football.
Oh, God. He's back.
Who's back?
The clown.
The naked one?
Yes, Giggles. He just drove on the lot in a new Kia.
Does he want to trade it in?
No, he wants to show it off.
Isn't he showing off enough? Oh, here he comes.
See what Elk Grove Kia did for me? That's service. That's why they got my business, not you.
I think we've already seen too much of your business. Thank you.
Elk Grove Kia. Great service for everyone.
Elk Grove Kia has never made it easier for you to show it off. Like the hottest all-electric EV in the market, the luxurious EV6. Save big with lease specials of $10,000 below MSRP. Not just one or two, but every EV6 in stock. Don't worry about credit. No credit, bad credit, charge-offs, repos. Don't worry. Our team has over 100 years of experience. Others say no. Elk Grove Kia says yes. Get your EV6 today at Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or elkgrovekia.com and show it off today.
Elk Grove Kia.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave, and I recognize, just like my friends at American Energy Heat and Air, that your time is important. And that's why shopping for a new air conditioner is now easier with American Energy Heat and Air's online quoting tool. All you have to do is go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote right now. It'll help you determine what system you're going to need to get. It'll provide the best pricing options, all from the comfort of your home without having to have somebody come to your home. You know how annoying that is? They come in and everybody there is so sweet and nice, but how much better is it to be able to get it on demand? Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your needs are, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines, such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Sitting at your desk, watch Chris and Company now. YouTube.com/Sactown Sports 1140.
Talk me into this Brook Lopez of the Kings thing, would you, Chris Watkins?
Well,
for one thing, I don't understand how it would work when you already have Domantas Sabonis. So what am I missing? What am I not getting?
It's the my argument is what I say with Draymond as well is they don't have to play at the same time the entire time. And Brendan talked about it a little bit, the clunkiness, especially defensively, of having to play Sabonis on the perimeter. But
I got to play them both a lot, don't I? Because I'm going to have to pay him a ton of money. I'm paying them both a ton of money, and there's a lot. If I got Brook Lopez, I'd have to be bidding against some teams that are offering him a lot of money, like Houston.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a matter of what is Brook Lopez's value out there in the open market, because we frankly just don't know. I mean, like, he's 36. He's a center, which is really, a position where it's not incredibly having a great center doesn't necessarily mean what it used to mean back in the day. But
he is, people always talk about, as you've said, rim protection.
Yes.
And he was runner-up defensive player of the year.
Yes.
And he can make threes.
Yes.
And those are useful skills in today's NBA.
And if you're going to go into a playoff series against a guy like Nikola Jokic, you're going to need a bigger body.
I've heard of him. He's good.
Yes, he is okay.
Yes.
He is a decent basketball player, and somebody, if you're interested in like winning championships or something, like, you're going to have to game plan for that guy and try and have an answer for him. And to me, you're not going to find much better of an option, especially out on the open market, than a big body like Lopez, someone who can, match him strength-wise, but also size-wise as well, and pull him out to the perimeter defensively. So I think, kind of like what Brendan said there, instead of necessarily, and this is kind of a little bit twisting what Brendan said, but instead of focusing on what he doesn't do well, think about how what he does do well improves the Kings in so many different areas. And yeah,
so
it might
Domas
be a
has
little
to play
clunky.
4, right?
He does, but also, this might be a little controversial, but if Domantas Sabonis can't play with other players or at a different position, that's kind of a Domas problem. Not, it's obviously in the greater sense of things, it's a Kings problem because they're the ones who have to figure it out. But that to me almost kind of speaks to maybe Domantas Sabonis is somebody who might need to be able to be a little bit more versatile in their game if they want to be considered kind of like a $35-40 million per year player. Like, if you're being paid that much, but I have to build a roster that really perfectly caters to everything you do in order to make it work for you. I don't know if that's necessarily the best, it's not that that's going to change the Kings calculus at all, but I just think that's you'd be asking them to change positions. This is what you played here, and you've been really good, but now can you slide over and play the 4? I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't a perfect fit with him and Miles Turner, but I think there's elements of that definitely worked. I think it was a little bit overblown, the fact that Turner and Sabonis couldn't play together. I think, again, it was clunky. It wasn't perfect, but if you build a good enough roster around it, I think that you could definitely help. I mean, offensively, you don't necessarily have as much of spacing problems because Brook is able to space the floor. It's more just defensively on the perimeter, you get worse, but I think on the interior, you get significantly better. So it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but I think that Brook Lopez provides a lot of things, much like Draymond Green, that the Kings just don't have right now.
The problem to me with Domantas Sabonis having to play 4, he's a willing defender, and he's just not a very good defender.
Yes.
And so then if he's playing guys presumably a little smaller than he
little faster,
a little quicker,
it
just exacerbates that issue.
Absolutely. And that's the look that, especially come playoff time, people will definitely, they'll scheme their lineup to essentially exploit the Kings and Domas in those kind of areas. And it's not perfect, but Brook Lopez is really the only player that I'm willing to accept those deficiencies with in order to get a
lot of money.
That's the other thing. And I just don't know what he's going to get paid, because I can see a lot of teams being really hesitant to just pay an older guy that much money, especially if he's going to be your main center. Absolutely. I could see a team like Houston, throwing him $20+ million per year. But I think in a situation like what the Kings would be in, where you could offer him a good, solid role on a very good team, and also at his advanced age, an opportunity to not, run himself into the ground. And it's a little bit better of a long-term fit as well, because Brook Lopez can, as he gets older and maybe as he loses a step, you could maybe realistically bring him off the bench. And again, this is doing a lot of stretching, and Brook Lopez would have to, play along as well. But I think that there is a pathway there that makes sense.
So I'm Brook Lopez, okay? And I don't know if you're Monty.
I also love the Lopez brothers, so I'm just not. I'm doing all I can here to make this happen.
But Monty, here's the thing: I just had the year of my life. Okay,
yes, he did.
I was nearly the defensive player of the year, and it wasn't my fault we lost those games.
It was not.
Yeah, and now let me get this straight: you want me to come to you for less money than I get elsewhere and play less? And you think, Monty, that somehow is going to appeal to me?
Yes, I do. You know why, Brooke?
You think I'm Robin Lopez? Have you confused me with my brother?
I will take Robin Lopez also.
I'll give you his number.
I would love it.
Because you and I, sir, have nothing further to talk about.
It would not surprise me if that's what the conversation ends up coming to, but I just think that you need to at least kick the tires on it. And if he's willing to come over, I mean, and I know Brook has also been kind of criminally underpaid his entire time in Milwaukee. He was making $13 million per year last year. He's a guy who's also, though, made a lot of money. Like he had a $20+ million contract when he was in Brooklyn. Maybe, just maybe, he's like, I've made my money. I would rather go to a winner. I know he's already won a title, so maybe that is also not as important to him. He won a title 2 years ago with Milwaukee, so or I guess 3 years ago now. But
I don't know how this would work either. But Warrior fans are getting excited about the notion. Oh, Brook Lopez. I mean, maybe if he's going to take less money, maybe it's to go. I don't even know where he lives, but I know he went to Stanford.
Well, he's a big LA guy. He's a big, massive Disney fan as well. So
sure.
I think that
is not.
I think if you don't think that proximity to a Disney location is factoring into Brook and Robin Lopez's free agency, you don't know the Lopez
I know you
brothers.
like Harry Potter.
Yes, they are big fans. Actually, I don't know, they are big fans. They are big fans of Harry Potter.
Well, then he's probably going to sign with the Wizards.
He could. I think Robin already did at one.
Obviously,
yes, he did. I thought I told you that.
I think that there is a chance for. I think there's I think there's a pathway for it to happen. There's a lot of stretching that needs to happen on both sides, but I think Brook Lopez, just from a basketball fit, it's not perfect, but it's a really, really good additive piece to what the Kings don't already have.
I'm trying to figure it out and embrace it, and I'm having a hard time with it.
I will also take Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez does a lot of similar things just without the perimeter shooting. Look, you can watch an entire compilation of Robin Lopez hook shots. The man is incredibly efficient. He's a big body.
That's a
good rebounder.
You say that, it's like, I'm going to do that.
I would absolutely sign Robin Lopez as an Alex Len replacement, 100%.
By the way, my brother, Phantom, he does play-by-play for the Lincoln Potters.
Really?
And I've told him when someone makes a nice play, he should go, "Well done, Potter."
Well done, Potter.
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that."
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Missed
Your
opportunity.
references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
Out of control.
Like that's Draco Malfoy, right?
Yes.
Well done, Potter. And he's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
No,
it.
he got to.
It's
sitting right there.
Naz Reid to sack dream. It's all over. So where do the Kings go from here? Coming up next, Chris and company, Watkins and Whitey, Sactown Sports.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Apparently, there is a cage match brewing between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Now, I hope this happens for many reasons. Number one, it just goes with the downfall of our society. Number two, nothing more fun than seeing super ultra mega billionaires just beat the hell out of each other. Number three, it would obviously be a terrible, terrible, terrible fight.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Sactown Sports.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street. Right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but it's been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento. And I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 74 years. Look for made in America brands like Stanton, Sam Moore, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sale event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Christopher Lott with your Sactown Sports headlines. The Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Veznikov. Over the weekend, the Kings have the rights to Veznikov since June of 2022, when the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Veznikov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Hawks are finalizing a trade to send John Collins to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick. Rudy Gay has exercised his $6.4 million option for the season for the trade to go through. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and company with Whitey and Watkins.
Coming up, some things you should know about. One of the things I thought about after Jordan Poole got traded to the Wizards last week is I thought, maybe now we're going to find out what it was that he said to Draymond Green.
Yeah.
That led Draymond Green
You
to
were
punch
really
him.
excited about that. Yeah, you were like, this is the
out.
only path. that was going to lead to an actual answer.
I thought maybe Draymond would say it on a podcast or something.
Right.
Well, coming up about 10 minutes, we've got some audio for you from someone who says they know what it was.
Dare I say this is the last place you probably would have expected to hear the Draymond news or the Draymond Poole actual conversation. This is probably the least likely source.
Yes, so we have that coming up, and you need to hear that if you're interested in that at all. We heard it, and you may have heard it already, but we just heard it, and I would have no problem believing that that's what he had.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you were
that's what led to him getting punched.
If you were to not tell me the source in which it came from, I would have been like, all of those things are absolutely what Jordan Poole would say, and all of those things would absolutely get Jordan Poole hit in the face.
Yes. Now, we don't know that, but you can make up your own mind.
You can draw your own conclusions.
We have that coming.
You know what you should do when Rami gets in? Ask him the reason why he heard that he got in a fight, because it is classic.
Really?
He came in with like, oh, did you see what the reason was? And he told us, and we're all kind of like, really?
Wait, so Rami heard a rumor?
Yeah, this is like right when it first happened.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, it happened. This is what Poole said. And all of us are kind of like, really? That sounds like really weird. He's like, he said it. I'm like, oh, find it out. And then like a few minutes later, I don't think that happened.
Okay. We mentioned earlier this.
So that was the reason why I needed to go super focused. Okay, what is the show?
Yes.
Who are these people? Why are they saying this?
Yeah. So we have that coming up, and it's I don't know. I'll just say it is what it is. We have that.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Earlier today, I shared with you that I got a text from Jerry Reynolds that Naz Reid had signed with Minnesota, so he's off the free agent market, and Jerry sent angry face emoji. So Christopher Law was wondering, well, what emoji would Jerry send in response to John Collins going to the Jazz? And Jerry just answered, and I think you were right, Chris. It's the shrug.
Yes.
Oh, you were
exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah. So
good call, Chris.
Very well done.
Knows Jerry.
Extremely well done right there.
Wow. And so do you think that, so Jerry just doesn't care? Is that
like,
I don't care? Is that is what it is?
Yeah, I think it is. It's like, yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really,
no big deal.
You know, again, not really somebody who, even if he would have came in, I just don't know really how much, like John Collins is not better than
Why are so
Harrison
many
Barnes.
Kings fans and people that know about basketball sitting there going, oh, I thought the Kings should get him.
Missed out on John Collins. I honestly don't have an answer. because John Collins, again, is at best like a little bit worse than Harrison Barnes in terms of impact. And I think he could come in and do what Harrison did for the most part in terms of filling in numbers, but just in terms of impact, I just don't think he's really a guy that's, you know, I don't think you're ever going to scheme around John Collins. I think he's a really good piece, but when you're paying him $25 million, especially to start, it's just he's just not that guy. But that does not mean that he's not a usable NBA player.
He was really good his first 3 years in the league. At least his numbers were.
Yeah.
But it's not his fault. He didn't sign himself to a contract.
He did not.
But the Hawks were starting to trade him or trying to trade him almost before he finished signing his contract. Right? The 125 for 5 extension. He hadn't even gotten to the OLL part yet.
No.
They're like, hello,
he is available.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It is incredible, and I'm glad that he finally got moved. But it's also just like, you know, part of your ego also as an NBA player kind of has to die a little when you're like, man, all they got for me was Rudy Gay and a 2nd round pick. Oh my God. Like, what am I doing wrong? Clearly there's something. And so, you know, again, I have a really good feeling that John Collins is going to land on his feet. I don't think he'll ever live up to the 25 mil, but I just think John Collins is a good basketball player. And it's gotten, when you're in trade talks as much as he has been, I just think you're, I don't know what the term would be, but like your approval rate, like just how people view you goes down, because it's like, oh, he's in trade rumors, so he must not be very good, or there must be something wrong with him. Like, he's very usable. It's just his contract was just so ridiculous that nobody was going to be willing to pay him $25 million.
At least he's going home.
At least there's that.
Utah, and maybe there was a little something there. Hey, well, you want to go there? We'll see what we can do. We'll work something out.
He said no. You want to go there? No.
Yeah.
Well, you're going. So
because otherwise, it's like, wow. If you're Rudy Gay, if you're John Collins, to your point, So that means anybody could have had me if they just
for
cared more than
anything.
that. Yeah.
It's I mean, and it really speaks to how low his value was that, and again, like if the Kings had any interest in him, they would have gotten him.
I think so.
This clearly tells me that Monty McNair just did not see any value in bringing John Collins in, and they had the cap space. They would have had assets to get it done. It's just, I think everybody was like, we're good. I think everyone's like Jerry, where they're like,
I gotta
whatever.
say, I think I heard this. I think I heard Deuce and Mo talking about this. But again, if you're wondering what's the deal with John Collins, why can't he shoot? Go look at the pictures of his finger.
Gross.
And again, you may not want to. So if you don't like those kind of things, don't. But if you're wondering, well, how bad could his finger be that he can't shoot anymore? Then you might want to look at the pictures of the Boutonniere syndrome or whatever it is he has. Like, oh my goodness.
Isn't that the flower that you put in for prom?
I might be mispronouncing something along those lines.
It is. Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's not like deformed. Like, I think it's listed. I think you said it's listed as a deformity, right? But it's really swollen.
Finger's
really.
not supposed to look that way.
Definitely not supposed to look that way. It just, it's not pretty. And you could draw conclusions as to why he shot 29% from three last year.
Right.
But,
so I don't know about you, dear listener, or you, Chris. I keep coming to the conclusion that the players that the Kings get to choose from here in free agency, it's not a great class.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agragree.
And
John Hollinger agrees as well.
Yeah, and I know we talked to Brendan Nunes, who obviously knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's pro.
If we're being honest,
he's pro Kuzma. A lot of people are pro Kuzma. Our boss Brian, is like, and what are you going to say? You know, it's your boss.
I know. Jeez, you want me to go on a 12-minute segment about it?
Yeah. I'm not sure he's a great fit. Maybe we'll see. But another name that comes up is Jeremy Grant. I was trying to figure out why it is. You and I think, agree on this. We've been talking about this. Jeremy Grant, why doesn't he seem like a good fit? I think I found a reason.
Oh, please.
Jeremy Grant, and again, you look at the numbers. Wow, really good player. Jeremy Grant had 7 assists in a game once. Jeremy Grant, and,
literally once.
That's his career high, and I think he did it once. My point is, you look at his assist numbers, he doesn't really pile up a lot of assists. And I think in this offense, he's not a point guard, that's fine. But in this offense, you got to be able to, it's based on player movement, ball movement.
Yes.
You got to be able to move the ball, and that's not really the way he plays.
No.
Therefore, I don't think he's an ideal fit for this offense.
Yeah, I agree. And you could make the argument, I guess, that, Harrison Barnes last year averaged 1.6 assists and, Jeremy Grant averaged 2 last year. So,
that's fair.
But you could also argue Harrison Barnes didn't look, Harrison Barnes was a glorified spot up shooter in this offense. And I think for what the Kings want
and you are trying to upgrade. From
exactly.
That. Yeah.
If you're bringing in Jeremy Grant, you want him to be better than Harrison Barnes and do everything that Harrison Barnes wasn't doing on top of what he was. And I don't think Jeremy Grant's that guy. I think he can provide similar things to Harrison Barnes. I don't see a clear and obvious upgrade if you bring in Jeremy Grant over Harrison Barnes, and especially for what they're probably going to ask. I think I don't know what Harrison Barnes' number is going to be. I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be on the on the upside of 20 or on the downside of 20, but I'm going to say that he's going to be near $20 million. I think Jeremy Grant's conversation starts at 22 million. And so if that's going to be the case, I just don't see the value in signing a guy like Jeremy Grant when it's just not a clear and obvious upgrade.
You could say that about a number of these guys.
Sure.
Which I think is
that's indicative of the class.
That's kind of your point.
Yeah. And I mean, you could swing really high on a guy like Chris Middleton, maybe, but even then, if you bring in Chris Middleton to this situation, is that making the Kings a conference title contender? Maybe next year. I don't know about moving forward. I just don't think
that there's always hurt. Now.
Yeah,
By the way, do you think they're breaking up the Bucks?
No, I don't. I think Lopez is gone, but I don't think Middleton's gone. I don't think they can afford to replace that. Like, I don't know. I literally don't think they can use the money that losing Middleton would create. I don't think you can bring in somebody who brings in any sort of value even close to that.
Jeremy Grant, from what I've read, I'm sure you've read it too, if you follow this at all, is that Portland really wants to keep him.
Yeah.
So
please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But again, especially that depends on what they decide to do. And I wish they'd make up their damn mind.
Make up your mind. It's not hard. It's a really easy decision. As a matter of fact, you've known that you're going to have to make this decision for like 4 months now. And so I don't understand what Portland's waiting on. But you're right. Like that's the domino that needs to fall, is that Portland needs to pick a direction. And if they want to win games next year, then you would assume that Jeremy Grant is all but signed, sealed, and delivered to come back to Portland. But if Portland does move into a rebuilding or a retooling phase, then yeah, maybe Jeremy Grant's available, but I just hope that it's for a reasonable number. Everything that I have seen, physically seen with my eyes,
With your own eyes?
watching Jeremy Grant play basketball, I just don't think that he's the guy that people think he is based off of his numbers. His numbers look great, but the eye test does not quite live up to what the numbers show.
I think that everything going on with Portland and how long it takes them to decide which direction they want to go in, that could directly impact the Kings in their offseason, because if Portland is going to go and tear it down, start over, or I should say it this way, if they're going to add pieces, they want to add to Dame Lillard, you could see how they would want to talk to Toronto.
Right.
About Siakam, Anunoby, somebody like that.
Or just
which
in
could
general.
impact the Kings' efforts to land one of those guys.
I think that they would probably in general just be looking at the same targets. Like, you probably, it's a direct competitor to every quote unquote win now guy that the Kings would try and go after. The Blazers are also would be looking at the same thing. And it becomes at that point a matter of people looking, and for the first time, the Kings are actually probably the better situation in that, but it would take players realistically looking at what's in front of them and looking at the two options and deciding, okay, do I have a better role? And is it more likely I win here in Portland, or is it more likely that happens in Sacramento? And whatever they decide is what they decide, but you're probably going to be fighting for the same pool of people.
And if you're talking trades, then the price goes up even higher.
Exactly,
because,
competing bidders.
I got this other team on the line, so let me talk to them and get back to you.
But even if Portland does decide to go the other way and ship Dame off, who does he go to? Does he go to Miami? Is it an Eastern Conference team? Is it a Western Conference team? Could the Kings get involved as a third team in that with all the cap space they have? There's a lot of different routes that this thing could go.
Coming up next, we will hear from someone who says they know what Jordan Poole said to Draymond Green.
Interesting.
That prompted Draymond to punch him. And if it's true, you could almost, okay.
Checks out.
That makes sense that you would punch somebody after they said that. We've got that next on Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
Need your Niners fix? Sactown Sports has you covered.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Trey looks significantly better than he did last year. I really do. I think his confidence is there. I think that he's throwing really good passes. I mean, just watching him, he just looks so much more comfortable and confident in the pocket, and I really appreciate that from him, from all the work that he's put into it. He just looks like he's having fun, because when he's out there having a good time, it definitely brings up everyone around him.
Get all your 49ers coverage leading into the 2023 season at Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
At Ashton & Price, we get injury victims to yes. Experience, yes. Ashton & Price has been around for over 25 years. No more insurance companies? Yes. Our clients focus on getting better, and we handle all the rest. Results? Yes. We've collected over $100 million for injury victims. No fee until we win? Yes. Our clients pay nothing until we win. Ashton & Price, the best at getting to yes. Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Hey, it's Nick Cattle suggesting you celebrate your 4th of July the right way with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Our Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned us into pros. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. Built different, built better, and built to last. All made with premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Just go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories. Now is the time to take care of your 4th of July.
Prestige line comes with a lifetime warranty.
Live and local, it's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Here's a note on the situation in Portland with Jeremy Grant. The Athletics' John Hollinger recently listed Grant at number 18 in his free agency rankings. Here's what he wrote. And this was a couple weeks ago.
Number 18?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
not
the position.
Right. No,
yeah.
totally. I mean,
that's
still pretty low.
The Blazers seem pot committed to keeping this group around Damian Lillard together. and trying to push the boulder up the hill one more time, but at what cost? Grant eligible for a 4-year, $112 million extension between now and July 1st.
A lot of money.
But even that would seemingly overvalue him based on his age and recent production. Paying him more seems absolutely batty. Plus, it yanks Portland ever closer to the tax line. That from John Hollinger, former NBA executive.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine he get that extension. I mean, that's pushing $30 million per year, and that is batty. If you even paying him that is pretty batty. What a weird term to
I know you don't hear that enough anymore.
No,
right?
He's batty. It's a weird. I don't know. I could see that situation going either way at this point in time, where I could see Jeremy Grant and Portland coming to an agreement. It's kind of what Portland has done the entire Dame Lillard era, is just completely cap themselves out and
like
leave themselves no other
try
movement.
To push the boulder up the hill one more time.
That's all they do. I mean, it's what they've been doing the past 10, 15 years. I mean, really, since they've gotten Dame, it feels like they've just had no other moves to make except for the moves on the roster. I think that Jeremy Grant is a fine role player, but just with what he's done the past 3 years on losing situations, he's put up great numbers. It just hasn't led to anything. And I just feel like the best version of Jeremy Grant we saw was being like a 5th, 6th option when he was in Denver all of those years ago. And that was when Jeremy Grant was a completely different guy. So now that he almost feels entitled, not necessarily in a bad or selfish way, but just kind of feels entitled to more shot attempts, I don't think that he's necessarily a guy I would want to throw a ton of money at.
How about Draymond Green? Before you answer that, because I know you want to give Draymond a lot of money.
Yeah, the money.
We have some information here. I don't know how accurate it is, but this is from It Is What It Is.
It's one of those, we would like it to be true.
Yeah, maybe it is. Cameron and Mace. We know which one is talking here? Which of the two?
I believe Cameron is talking.
Okay, Cameron talking, and this was on It Is What It Is. Cameron explaining what, according to his sources, Jordan Poole said to Draymond Green that prompted Draymond to punch him.
And from all the things that I was hearing him say, not guaranteed, but they were saying his reasons Draymond punched him in his face. They said the first day he told Draymond Green, Michigan and Michigan State have beef. Draymond Green's from Michigan State. He's from Michigan. He told
That's already
Draymond,
a lifetime rivalry,
right? He told Draymond, I more Michigan State than you went there. And then they was running sprints or something. He told Draymond, don't worry about it. You'll be in Sacramento next year. Then he told Draymond.
That's crazy.
Then he told Draymond, why is your Twitter handle Money Green when you broke and you're not going to get a new contract? And that's the one that broke the camel's back when he ended up punching him in the face.
Also broke his face.
Wow. I don't know.
Yeah, you decide. But again, all of those things I could see Jordan Poole saying, because it's kind of, I could see them all being true. And B, that will get you hit in the face. If you say, especially to a guy like Draymond Green, you got to know you're poking the bear at that point. And, Jordan Poole poked the bear and the bear poked back.
One thing I'll say for Jordan Poole,
right in the face,
or the last, whatever it's been, 8 years, people on the Warriors don't really stand up to Draymond Green. Draymond Green gets in people's faces, and he didn't get a lot of that back from anybody.
Yes.
And Jordan Poole from day one was not going to take that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably seen video Draymond barking at him on the bench and Jordan Poole giving it right back to him. In this case, and it caused problems where you've got, all right, we've got our culture, and this is the guy who kind of sets the tone for us.
Right.
And then you got this young guy, and he's like, no, I'm not good with that.
Yes.
So there's problems there. If he said anything like what Cameron said, Jordan Poole said about the money, like, why are you Money Green?
Yeah.
Given that Jordan Poole was getting his contract and Draymond Green didn't have one at the time, I have no doubt that he would have punched him.
Yeah.
Whether he said that, I don't know. But if he did, yes, he would have gotten punched.
Yeah, I think the Sacramento thing would probably, that's like oh, okay, buddy, whatever.
Like
whatever. Exactly. I'm sure that gets said more times than
although
what
you
people
don't,
believe.
I don't think a lot of guys on that team say it to Draymond.
No.
Can I add another wrinkle to that comment that he made? Is there a chance that Draymond Green, like professionally, maybe Sacramento would be the best move, but he didn't want to take it because he didn't want Jordan Poole to be right?
I think you're getting to something. That's good investigative journalism right there.
Like he's like, yes, I could do well with this team, and yes, I do fit very well with them.
Yeah.
But Poole said I was going to join them next season, and that can't happen.
He's like got the legal pad out there. He's like pros and cons.
Yes.
Pros, fit really well. Pros, understand Mike Brown's system. Pros, close proximity to where you're already based. Cons, Poole would have been right. And
that's probably the only con.
That's it. That was really the only con, and that was about it.
Yeah.
That was like, yeah. And for that
clincher.
reason, I will accept my player option and sign a 3-year deal here in Golden State.
Have you ever heard Damian Lillard explain when he first found out who Jordan Poole was? You heard that podcast?
No.
We should get that audio sometime. It's amazing because this does speak in a way to why Jordan Poole wasn't quite a guy who fit in there. I'll just summarize. Dame Lillard says,
where did their paths cross?
During the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And Dame Lillard says, for one thing, he says they're playing a game. And it was during Jordan Poole's rookie year. So it would have been during the pandemic year before everything shut down. And Dame says somebody's barking at him from the Warrior bench. And this was a game, I think, Damian Lillard scored 60.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I remember that game in
someone's
Oakland,
ragging him, and he looks over and it's like, who's ragging me? Who's that guy? He's not even playing. He's not even playing.
That sounds like Jordan Poole.
I'm scoring 60.
Yes.
He said, I told Draymond, I said, you're going to have to talk to him or something. But that's Jordan Poole.
Right. That is Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very much, it's very Dylan Brooks energy a little bit, where it's like, I'm not going to respect him until he gives me 40 or whatever Dylan said. It's like, Jordan Poole's like, I don't care if this guy's actively giving my team 60.
Right.
I'm not in, so it's not on me.
Right.
So I'm going to keep talking. That's the kind of guy Jordan Poole is. He's clearly an instigator.
Yeah.
Clearly somebody who I think, has a certain level of love and affection for himself. And I could see that's exactly why I believe that first statement that we heard Cameron say there, where I essentially got more girls at Michigan State than even you did in your time at Michigan State. I could see that is out of central casting for a Jordan Poole quote. Like that is I could absolutely hear him saying
there's
that.
no excuse for punching your teammate. None. No. But there was a reason.
It's like,
right?
You
know that, and the way the Warriors reacted to it and handled it, okay, some of that because it was Draymond, but still, there had to be on some level a type of reason where someone could say, well, yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but you see why he did.
As the great Charlie Murphy would say, I think Jordan Poole is absolutely a habitual line stepper. 100% is just one of those guys who everyone knows, especially with a guy like Draymond, there is a clear line that you can push. Like when people who give a lot, especially give a lot of flack and, are always ribbing people, they understand that they're going to get some back. But everyone also understands that someone who's throwing those jabs out there, probably not always the most stable person. And everyone knows that there is a clear line that you don't cross with those people. Well, Jordan Poole is absolutely one of those people who sees that line and moonwalks on that line and is just like, I don't care. I am trying to get a reaction.
I am amazed by how many Jordan apologists there are on Twitter. Seriously.
I love that.
Poor Jordan Poole. And he was scapegoated all year. Do you know what this guy's like?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know he should not have been punched, but I think wasn't it game 6 against the Kings where Draymond says something to Jordan Poole and Jordan Poole walks down and pushes him?
Oh, yeah.
And
In
Steph
Sacramento.
has to come over and say, hey, no, don't do that.
There were also clips of Jordan Poole yelling at assistant coaches who are, what I assume, only trying to coach him.
Right. Yeah.
Just doesn't really seem
Curry,
like...
don't do that play. That doesn't do any good.
Well, and imagine how big of a culture shock it is, not for Jordan Poole, but for the Warriors who had this great, again, veteran-led culture their entire first half of their run, and then bring in this young guy who brings this, this
brash doesn't begin to describe it.
No, exactly. So this brash personality and just shakes up everything. And, it was kind of one of those things that when you really look at it, it was probably doomed from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like we all have a better understanding of what happened.
Don't have a hard time believing that might have been true, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Next is trying to figure out who released the tape. I don't think we ever got word on that, did we?
I would bet you money Jordan Poole's people released the tape because then he got paid like 2 days
True.
later.
That is very true.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely wasn't beneficial for Draymond. Absolutely. But I remember there's, like
the Warriors certainly weren't going to release the tape, although I think
somebody in the organization had to have. I mean, like, who else has access to that footage? I don't know. Interesting. Next up.
Could Wemby's plans still include the California Classic? Tell you why he's skipping the World Cup and what his Sacramento plans may involve. That's next on Chris and Company Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Nature Wood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Pain is not normal. Repeat, pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free, no-obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
The city of Sacramento offers rebates to help with your outdoor water saving projects this season. Rebates are available for landscape conversions, smart controllers, and irrigation upgrades that improve your water efficiency. Learn more at sacwaterwise.com.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
At Elk Grove Honda, we see every Honda buyer as a member of the family, so we make sure every certified pre-owned Honda is one we would buy from ourselves. See our selection of certified pre-owned Hondas in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or online at elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
The Gold Rush Classic takes place July 13th and 14th in Rancho Murrieta. Come join the fun and play golf with a celebrity, or just check out the concert. The Gold Rush Classic, where the stars and guitars shine. For more info, go to goldrushclassic.org.
Y'all ready to do it again, Sacramento? Country in the Park 2 is coming to Heart Health Park at Cal Expo Saturday, September 9th with Cole Swindell, Chris Jansen, Dylan Scott, and more. Plus, a mechanical pool, line dancing saloon, and all the food. Tickets start at $40 or grab your Coors Light Y'all Access passes for $125. For more info, visit SactownSports.com. Country in the Park 2, brought to you by Attic Man Heating and Air Conditioning, E2 Family Winery, and Hyatt Vacation Club.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street, right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
During a Flex Alert, let's do the dishes after 9.
What about the laundry?
It can wait until tonight or even the morning.
The AC?
It's at 78. Let's cool the house in the morning.
All right, so we're just chilling until 9.
Pretty much. And we can help avoid a power outage.
Putting off chores for later and hanging out with my best friend? I love Flex.
Maybe you should just unplug the appliances downstairs.
Good idea. Better acoustics in the basement.
California, the power is ours with Flex Alerts. Flex Alerts, the power is ours.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
I'm Chris Relott with your Sactown Sports headlines. Number 1 pick in San Antonio Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama has announced that he will not play for France in this year's FIBA World Cup and will prepare for his rookie season with the Spurs in next year's Paris Olympics. Wembanyama does plan on playing for the Spurs in the Summer League. The Spurs are also one of the teams in the California Classic, which tips off on July 3rd here in Sacramento. Sacramento Kings have officially submitted an offer to Olympiacos forward Sasha Vezenkov over the weekend. The Kings have had the right to Vezenkov since June of 2022 when the Kings traded a second-round pick to the Cleveland Cavs for his rights. For more on the Kings' offer for Vezenkov, check out Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cardicelli's story on SactownSports.com. Those are your headlines. Let's get back to Chris and company with Whitey and Watkins.
Let's cut to the chase. We know we have the California Classic coming up. So is Victor Wembanyama going to play in the California Classic? It's not clear, but he might. First of all, the games are going to be on ESPN.
Good start.
Right?
That's
I
absolutely
believe I
a good
saw
start.
that. Yeah, they're going to be on ESPN. So you know that ESPN would like to have some of the best players playing in
You're
those
lying
games.
to yourself if you think that's not a thing. Absolutely.
And we have this from ESPN and Brian Windhorst. Wembanyama is still planning to play in at least some of the Spurs Summer League games in July.
Interesting. I wonder if he would be more likely to play on the front end or in the back end. Because, I mean, you know, obviously he's kind of just coming off of playing from the French League playoffs. So I wonder if they're going to give him, you know, more time to kind of get accustomed and get acquainted to everything before and then play him in Vegas, or if it would be better to just kind of get your games out of the way now while you're still kind of in the rhythm of things, and then we'll shut you down on the back end and make sure you're healthy for the regular season.
Well, my thinking is that ESPN would like him to play in some of the early games.
Sure.
But remember, we're talking about the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even, you know.
They don't care.
They
you can just put it play. Yeah.
They Thursday night game against the Heat and 20 whatever is like they didn't play their best players.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
Especially Greg Popovich. He's not going to be.
Right.
He's just not going to care.
So,
he's going to say, take it up with me.
Yeah. Wembanyama has decided not to play for France in this summer's FIBA World Cup. He will instead focus on prepping for his rookie season and for next year's Paris Olympics.
Ooh, that's actually going to be massive. Obviously, as a Frenchman himself, that'll probably be a much bigger event to make sure that he attends that one.
They changed up the FIBA World Cup schedule recently in recent years because they didn't want to be playing the same years as the actual soccer World Cup.
Okay.
So that means that they would have a World Cup this year in basketball and then the Olympics next year. And that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's backing off this year, getting ready for the season, and then going to be ready for next year's Olympics. Yeah. It's reversal. He previously stated plans for the summer that he was going to play for the French.
And ironically, it would have been better if they had it last year since the World Cup this year was in November, December.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually, the Qatar World Cup. Right. And there's the Women's World Cup this year also. So.
Which they don't care about.
They don't care.
Team Serbia is also waiting on a decision from Nikola. Have you heard of this guy? Some Serbian Nikola Jokic.
Oh, yeah. Second round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, second round pick.
They got a Taco Bell University. Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, he was just in the finals, right?
Yes,
Miami, the Miami guy, right? Yeah. Nikola Jokic.
Serbia waiting to hear from Jokic after his long run to the NBA title. Yeah. I mean, it's just playing basketball, but can you imagine these guys
just don't.
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I mean, just rest.
Yeah. It's especially with your stars, like you just don't. I'm okay with. I don't even want to say this because I'm actually not okay with it. But like guys like of Malik Monk's tier, like if he wants to play for Team USA, sure, you'll probably never be put on that big of a pedestal for for a team like that ever again. So it makes sense for like role players, but. If I'm any team, I just don't want to see my star guys going out there. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't.
So as far as Wemby and the California Classic, don't know, but it looks like there are some summer league games that are in his plans, according to official reports.
I would be surprised if he doesn't play at least one game in Vegas. Sacramento, I could see him playing a game, but also there's only 2 days of events. So maybe I'm looking at the schedule right now. July 3rd, they have that Spurs versus Hornets game. You get the allure of getting that 1 versus number 2. Obviously, if Wemby doesn't show up for that, it kind of really dampens the allure of it. So, if anything, I would put Wemby for that game 1, July 3rd at 5:00 against the Hornets. To me, if he's not playing in that one, then he's probably not going to play on July 5th.
Wemby, game 1, play the first half, and then fly down to Vegas.
No, that's
exactly
that.
Do the Paolo Banchero thing there. Where he played, what did he play? One game?
I think he played one game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was all he needed to play. I was also at that game. That was against
really?
the King. It was the Murray Miracle. Come on. We all remember the Murray Miracle.
Who could forget?
Who can forget it? Maybe the greatest shot in King Summer League
It
history.
will be so nice not to care about
Oh,
Summer League games this
incredible.
season.
Oh, my gosh.
Why wouldn't you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably actually still going to care a lot. I guarantee. For all your Summer League action, check out Sactown Sports 1140 for all of your Summer League needs.
Now, back to free agency. There's one player we haven't talked about much today.
Really?
Who I think is a really good fit for the Kings.
Okay.
But I think he's going to be too expensive. And you know,
That's a
I'm
common
talking about,
thread.
he's my guy, Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson, yeah, he's somebody you've been on since really day one of talking about offseason moves. Cam Johnson has been at the top of your list, and really the only thing holding him back from the Kings, I think, really being rumored as big targets for him is, the fact that he's restricted, the fact that the Kings would have to outbid anything that the Nets would even consider re-signing him to.
Yeah, you want shooting?
Yeah.
Career 39.3% shooting.
That seems pretty good.
Career.
That works.
He can run the floor. He
can
can guard either of your front court spots.
Bigger guy
Forward
too,
spots,
6'9".
Yeah. Creates space for teammates. Let's see.
Young.
8.27 assist percentage. That's a strong
Yeah.
mark for a forward. He's a good player. 38 career postseason games.
Wow.
41.6% 3-point shooter.
Great.
48.9% field goal percentage. Role player averaging 10.2 points, 3.6 assists per game in the playoffs.
Yes.
Useful.
Yes, and also one of those I'll call him a Kevin Huerter candidate, where Huerter in Atlanta was just perpetually averaging 12 points a game, but then the second he got here to Sacramento in an elevated role, instantly saw his points per game shoot up to around 16 points. I could see Cam Johnson being the exact same, where even in Phoenix he was maybe a fifth option. And, just really wasn't somebody that they looked at to really get big buckets for them. And I think with that elevated role potentially here in Sacramento, if he were to be that Harrison Barnes replacement in the starting lineup, I could see him taking a pretty big leap. He's a guy who's, like you said, like all of those numbers seem to track to someone who would do well with a little bit of added touches. Like those are all really efficient numbers. And I don't see why with a bigger role, he wouldn't do even better.
His last full year in Phoenix, he averaged 12.5 points a game.
Solid.
And he shot 43% from the 3-point line.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
That is absolutely fantastic. And that's exactly what the Kings need, is just somebody who's going to come in, fill their role. He's also somebody who, if we want to play the Monty McNair has a type, somebody who spent a good amount of time in college as well. Like he's a little bit older of a guy. He's been in the league for 4 seasons now. So, somebody who definitely knows who he is in the NBA and is probably somebody that wouldn't come in and try and have a bigger role than what's given. Kind of like what I listed with Kyle Kuzma. To me, Cam Johnson's a guy who in the NBA has been a role player and has always just been kind of varying degrees of role player, whether it be, starting his career getting 7 shots per game or now being just a really prominent piece of what, he started all 25 games for Brooklyn last year that he played for them, averaged 16 points per game. To me, that's exactly the kind of role that he would have here in Sacramento.
And he was 3rd in the 6th Man of the Year voting his last year, full year in Phoenix, which
That
is better
works.
than being 6th in the NBA's 3rd Man of the Year voting. It's a lot better.
It is a lot better. Yeah, that is confirmed.
But here's the problem. Based on what we think we know anyway, the Nets like him. And according to reports, the Nets are willing to match any offer up to about 4.90. So any offer up to about 4.90, it looks like the Nets are going to say, yeah, we're going to keep him. That means you have to give him more than that.
That's what, $22 million a year, somewhere near that.
You might have to go up near 25, which would make him your second highest paid player.
It's risky. It's definitely risky.
That's too much.
27-year-old. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't love it because he's not a perfect player, but just with the shooting that he's able to provide, the size.
And remember, this is my guy.
Yes, this is your guy.
He's not really a shot creator.
He
a
is
lot
not,
of people
no.
say really good player, but there's not a lot of star upside.
No,
there.
definitely no
So
star
I can't
upside.
afford to pay him like he's.
I'll give you that for sure. And especially, again, you're going to have to pay guys like Malik Monk next year. You're going to have to pay Domantas Sabonis on an extension at some point in the next what is that going to be in 3 years? You'll have to pay Keegan Murray. So you don't want to be completely cap locked at that point. I think Cam is a guy who makes sense, but you're right. Like paying him $25 million per year, while it's definitely a risk, it could definitely, end up being a bad risk and really hurt the Kings long term.
Pistons with Monty Williams, their new coach, he's Cam Johnson's old coach. They apparently are interested.
I could see
the
that.
Rockets interested in signing Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
They, by the way, they're also interested in signing Brook Lopez.
Sure.
They have the most cap space in the league, $60 million.
Oof. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And that's another thing too, is I could see Cam being outpriced for one of those teams. I mean, he's a really good player. And I think if there's anybody that you want to bet on just to kind of, if you want to know what you're going to get in a guy, I think Cam Johnson is a perfect, he's honestly a high ceiling, low floor. No, other way. I wanted to say
high floor, low ceiling.
High floor, low ceiling kind of guy.
So.
And you just kind of know what you're going to get. And,
yep.
There is beauty in that, but
and
obviously
those are
there's
money
also
guys. I mean, those are efficient players.
Right. I think
I
think he would fit in really well here in Sacramento. Obviously, he wouldn't be a perfect fit. He doesn't do everything that you need, but he's somebody that I think would also help on the defensive end of things. I think he's
improve you. I think,
he's definitely not a rim protector. No. I think what's the most he's ever averaged in a season is 0.4 blocks per game. So there's no illusion of that. But
he's not a great rebounder either.
No, he's not. Yeah, his rebounding numbers never averaged more than 5 rebounds in a game or in a season. That's definitely not great next to Domas, unless Keegan wants to step up his rebounding game. That would still be a point of weakness where, again, we saw the Kings last year got murdered on the glass.
Chris, I'm not sure I want any of these guys.
I said that from the start. I just want that. I again am not the biggest Harrison Barnes guy, but I have said from the jump, replacing Harrison Barnes is a lot tougher of a task than what it might sound like on paper.
You're so wise. I have to start listening to you at least occasionally.
Way more me than Brendan Nunes.
If I remember next week.
That's why I'm the bad boy of media.
I'm going to start listening to you occasionally next week if I remember.
I appreciate that. I would definitely appreciate that. Because,
what?
Okay. No one listens. No, it's fine. It's just everyone.
All right.
Just keep yelling at everybody. Just keep yelling at me. I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm the crazy.
I never
one.
said you're
I
wrong.
want
That's
Draymond
Brendan
Green.
Nunes.
What's that?
Yeah. Do we have Keegan or Chris coming up?
I hope so.
Yes,
I really
we
so.
do.
Oh,
it's a tremendous game.
This is going to be a good one too. This is the first time we actually have them sitting in the same room. They're on a podcast, high quality audio. We can get them in a back and forth situation.
It's going to be played a little differently.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Are we going to be able to fit in the worst player in the history of the game, Rami? Is he going to be able to play when he joins us?
I think he was known for having a low floor, low ceiling.
That's next. Chris and Company, Sactown Sports.
Ceiling is crazy.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
Expectations coming into the season and how we performed. I mean, it's one of the more special seasons that I've had in my 11 years.
Stay tuned all off season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Players of all abilities will tell you that Bartley Cavanaugh Golf Course is the area's #1 course for fun. Whether you're a beginner or an accomplished player, Bartley Cavanaugh has something for you. It's a great walking course, but motorized carts are available too. The moderately sized greens and generous fairway landing areas will add to your satisfaction and smiles for the day. Near the banks of the picturesque Sacramento River, Bartley Cavanaugh features the brand new tap room for all your beverage needs. For tea times, visit bartleycavanaugh.com. It's Sacramento's #1 course for fun.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Attention contractors and DIY enthusiasts. Don't miss the ultimate DeWalt sale event at Fasteners Tool Outlet in Sacramento next Saturday, July 8th. Unbeatable prices on DeWalt power tools and one-day-only deals with free batteries and tools. Grab a 4-piece brushless combo kit for $299 and save up to 50% on select hand tools and accessories. Again, that's July 8th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 6701 Power Inn Road. For more info, visit fastenersinc.net.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave, and I recognize, just like my friends at American Energy Heat and Air, that your time is important. And that's why shopping for a new air conditioner is now easier with American Energy Heat and Air's online quoting tool. All you have to do is go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote right now. It'll help you determine what system you're going to need to get. It'll provide the best pricing options, all from the comfort of your home without having to have somebody come to your home. You know how annoying that is? They come in and everybody there is so sweet and nice, but how much better is it to be able to get it on demand? Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your needs are, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Listen to Oakland A's baseball on the weekends all season long right here on Sactown Sports, beginning with the pregame show brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
It's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Robbie joining us, and I a little taken aback. I thought you were a big Cubs fan, and they were across the pond yesterday, and you couldn't be bothered, huh? In your Cubs hat.
I refuse.
Call yourself a fan.
I refuse to wake up when they changed the time of America's pastime to suit the Brits. You know what I mean?
I feel that
They should adjust our time. The game should have been played at 1:20 Central Standard Time, which is when the Cubs usually play a baseball game. And whatever time that is in England, well, you just get up and watch it.
Wait, what time?
What I mean?
What time did the game start?
It's like 5 or 6 a.m. or something like that.
No,
yeah,
it was
a baseball game?
Yeah.
Who's going to wake up?
I must have watched the replay. I watched both of them, and I didn't get up that early.
The first one was really because I woke up at like 9 a.m. and it was already the 6th inning, and the Cubs were down 5 runs. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to watch that.
I hate how they do that with the NFL London games, too. It's just it just ruins my entire weekend.
I hate it.
I cannot, I'm not going to wake up.
And it
I
does
love
nothing
football.
for me. They try and sell it to me like it's supposed to do
Yes.
something for me. I didn't get a trip to England.
It's for you, so you know how I feel when I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the game that I want to watch.
Watch American sports then.
There you
We
go.
don't have a problem.
Yeah.
See?
It was interesting to see that they actually, MLB found a bunch of fans who actually are less interested in baseball than the Las Vegas fans.
How'd you do that? Blimey, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, they don't know what's going on. They have no idea.
Yeah.
The game started at 7, Rami.
7? I'm not waking up at 7. I'm
Dude,
not waking
aren't
up at
all
7.
your games day games anyways? Shouldn't you be used to
like
that?
1:20 noon at the earliest.
So that's 10:20
Central
here.
Standard Time. Yeah. That's not 7 a.m.
I
That's
thought
not,
the game
that's not what time that is.
yesterday was. I thought it was a little later yesterday. I was watching some, maybe not, but it was very hot there, and Wembley Stadium, which
Wembley,
great
stage.
venue,
Yeah.
great venue.
Oh, great. All the
Actually,
baseball
I think it was
history
at
in that
London
place.
Stadium.
Oh,
okay, yeah, great venue.
Great venue.
Top tier venue.
Are those different places?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
London Stadium is actually in London. Wembley is a little bit on the edges.
Is it in Wembley?
It is in Wembley.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Chris, what do we have here as far as Chris or Keegan? Which you've played.
I
this
played
game
once before and I loved it. Yes.
You're dominant.
I was
weren't
mad
you?
at myself for not coming up with it. Yes.
Oh, you're talking to Chris.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking to you.
Oh, me.
But yeah.
I was waiting for Vlad said we're going to do it.
I just like awkward silence. So I'm gonna say anything.
Rami just said he wished he'd come up with it. You actually did.
I did come up with it. Yes, but
no.
We came up with it as a show. My success.
But it was your idea.
Yes,
it's a really good idea.
No, I was just wondering what's going to be different this time. Chris said that we're doing we're adding a little flair.
It was from Kenyon.
Yes, it was from Kenyon Murray. I always want to call him Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Murray's podcast, which why would you have a podcast? I know they're both your sons, but like, if you're gonna have twins on, it's just gonna be a tough podcast to listen to. Watching, it was fine. You could get it. You understood.
Actually, watching a couple times, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, they look exactly.
Just
like
listening was like it was a terrible idea. And we're about to see why.
So, what you think one of them should have talked in a squeakier voice?
I don't know. I just think it from jump probably was a bad idea.
So what they're doing, like this kind of for most of the audio clips that we have here, they're doing a lightning round. Who's better at this? Who's better at that?
Oh,
and then like an answer to that. So you're gonna have to try and guess who's talking.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So this is. I'll just throw out like this one real quick.
I can make pastas. Chicken. Yes, I can. You've not made a pasta. It's like spaghetti with marinara.
Okay.
So
that
who's the
possum, right?
So who's the one that's saying, yeah? Who's the one saying that they cook pasta, and who's the one saying like no? Play it again.
I can make pastas. Chicken. Yes, I can. You've not made a pasta. It's like
spaghetti
with marinara.
I'm going. Keegan is the pasta maker, and Chris is the skeptic.
That's what I was going to say. Also, Keegan is making pasta.
You were all wrong.
Wow.
When they're together, this is going to be interesting. Chris is the pasta maker.
Oh gosh. Wow, I would not have bet that.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
All right, ready for
pasta might be too exotic for Keegan.
Is he saying he makes pasta from scratch?
He's like I think that's what Keegan was. Okay. So this is here. Let's play this.
Best dancer. I'd probably say me. It's tough.
Well, there's just no way Keegan is the best dancer, so I'm going to say Chris.
That sounded
There's
like
a 0% chance.
I think Keegan was saying he was the best dancer.
Could I hear it one more? Is it
one more
time?
time?
One more time.
Best dancer. I'd probably say me. It's tough.
That sounds like Keegan.
That sounds like Keegan. I think
so. Just to let you know, one person is saying that's me, and the other is saying, yeah, that's probably right.
I think Keegan is the one who says that's me.
I'd probably say
I think
me. It's tough.
I think Chris is the one saying yeah, it's me.
I think Chris is the better dancer. I think Keegan's like, yeah, that's right.
Me too.
You both are correct.
Okay.
Chris does say that he's the better dancer. Oh man, 0 for 2, Rami.
I know. I wasn't good at this before either. I rallied at the end, but I still ended up with like 50-50.
Okay, so this is going to why they went to Iowa.
Okay.
And I bleeped something here because he says his name.
Okay.
Let's just
that's okay.
Like Coach just McCaffrey saw I like his individuals. Yeah. And like was gonna develop us as individuals, talk to us as individuals. Like most coaches that recruit us were just thought we were like pairs together or whatever.
Okay. See, the
That was
entire
Keegan.
I think that was Chris.
I think it was Keegan.
I was going to say Chris.
But that throws out my entire philosophy of Chris. I think it's Chris.
Keegan.
I'm saying Chris.
Keegan, Chris.
It is Chris Murray.
Yes.
Chris Murray.
All right.
It just doesn't. I think it's because we're getting high quality audio, like it's from a podcast, but it's a lot harder to tell. Like before, I don't know. I swear I heard a more nasal in Chris before, but I'm not hearing it anymore.
Yeah, every time I think I have a tell, it's like, nope,
I'm lost.
You don't.
Yeah, I'm completely lost. It's almost like they're identical.
Okay, playing without the other. Speaking of identical,
just going through it. I really feel like I got used to it pretty quick, and that I feel like that helped me.
I got one. That's definitely Keegan. That's definitely Keegan.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Keegan.
You are correct.
There we
That
go.
is Keegan.
All right.
Boom.
All right. Let's go to more cooking talk.
Best cook, me. No, all you do is make 2 vegetables. I've grilled. I know how to grill. I've grilled burgers.
Okay.
I make good seasoned vegetables. Do you not make anything else other than burgers? No, I made some other stuff.
I think
I love these guys.
Who is the one defending themselves?
I think Chris is the one who's saying that he made burgers and defending himself.
I think Keegan is this. I make seasoned
Good seasoned vegetables.
Yeah, I think that's Keegan.
I think that's Keegan as well.
Keegan is the cook defending his cooking.
I love these guys so much. Keegan is so unintentionally funny.
All right, I think we've got time for one more. This is best defender. Who says that they are the best defender?
All right, best defender. Me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
Way too fast. Me.
All right, best defender. Me.
Yeah.
That's Chris saying me. Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chris
Just off
saying
of what
me.
I know of their games, I'll say Chris as well.
I'll say Chris is saying me, and Keegan is taking offense.
You guys are all wrong.
Wow.
That wasn't Chris. That wasn't Keegan. That was Kenyon Murray.
You're lying. Play that one more time. There is no way.
So he's the one asking the question and then answering it.
All right, best defender. Me.
That's not fair. That's not fair, Verlad.
Wow.
That was a trick question.
That's it for Rich Murray.
I think you are the winner today.
Yes.
I don't
Chris.
feel like a winner.
Yeah.
I was. Yikes. I mean, wow. Their dad. Now we got to throw Kenyon into this. Chris, Keegan, or Kenyon into the mix.
We
now.
got to put like Bill Murray in there to make it.
Yeah,
easier.
exactly.
What do you guys have coming up today?
Coming up on the show today, we will talk about the offer for Sasha Vezenkov. We didn't get into that last week. Keith Smith from Spotrac, cap expert. He'll join us at 3:30 and much, much more.
All right, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Have fun. Kettles and Rami, Sactown Sports Day.
Catch the Oakland A's every weekend on Sactown Sports. Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Sinking, that's going to get down for a hit. Around third to score is Tony Count. And the A's have taken the lead. Edge of the track makes the catch. And the